Okay, we read these out loud, I guess.
So you called it to order at
6:35. Okay, I guess we'll go with our fee schedule.
most of these are in the ordinances. Some are not, like copies and return check fees, tires, things like that are not in the ordinance.
Let's see.
Did you all get a copy of the fees? General people?
Yeah, we did. Well,
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Are they the same as they were previous years or changes?
Beach?
The beach is the main change, I think.
Everything else is.
And we've certainly been over that time and time again.
The only thing we don't
Safe bet, huh?
charge for is notary services, but it's nice to have one free service and, but it's up to you. We can put a charge in there.
Yeah.
What's
No,
that?
it's all right, I
We don't
guess.
charge for notary services.
Thank you. How often do you have to renew your notary license, Dan?
Is it every,
7 years.
is it 7? I was gonna say 6, but I wasn't sure.
7, 6.
Okay, alcohol licensing fee, $50. Animal impound fee, first offense, $25. Animal impound fee, each offense after first, $25.
$50, isn't it?
Or 50, I
Looks like
meant.
50 to me.
Yeah, 50. Animal, large animal to be paid upon return of animal,
That large.
$25. Appeals application, $25. Beach guest pass, $5 per day or $10 per week. 1 week maximum with presence of resident. Beach parking violations, fine to town, Thompson Lane and land abutting the town beach. Civil offense, a citation will be issued. $25 to $100. To waive court, $15 plus towing and storage fees. Beach sticker resident, $15 annually. Beach swimming lesson pass after lessons in. $20 for the remainder of the season. Building permit applications, new home, $100. Permit building recording fee at Registry of Deeds if needed, $75. Building permit violation, $100 to $2,500. Copy something, 50 cents. The fax, $2. Floodplain application, minor construction, $50. Floodplain application, new construction, $15.
$100.
$100 for new construction, yeah, okay, great. We're gonna get another piece of paper, put over the lines here. Pre-on items collected, $15. Junkyard and auto graveyard permit, $50. Plus the cost of posting notice. Maps, $1. Notary, nothing. Plumbing application, town surcharge.
Oh,
What?
shoreline, you missed that one.
Oh yeah, ordinance, all except shoreland, $5.
So-
Plumbing,
So that, and that, what that means is copies of ordinances, correct?
Of course.
okay, yeah, plumbing application, town surcharge, $10 over and above state fees. Plumbing, $10 to $40. Reinspection of subsurface installation, $20.
What is a subsurface installation? Meaning underground?
Septic.
Oh, okay.
Recycling business, 5-year, $250 plus the cost of posting notice. Return check, $35. Road applications, $500. Road engineering review for new road, up to $25,000. Shoreland zoning ordinance, $6. Shoreland zoning permit application, $80. Solid waste violation. First is $25, the second is $50 each, and subsequent $100.
So can I just ask,
yep.
what are we considering solid waste violation?
No.
I brought the ordinance book. Which.
Didn't seem like an unreasonable question, but I bet I'm not the only person who. Oh,
Mhm.
well, I felt the vibes, and so I had to say.
Solid waste violation. Want me to read the whole ordinance?
I think probably
Of
just the,
prohibited activities, no waste of any type shall be disposed of in the town of Hartford in any manner, except in accordance with this ordinance and with state and federal laws and regulations. No biomedical waste, hazardous waste, special waste, or industrial waste shall be disposed of in any manner in the town of Hartford. There shall be a violation of this ordinance for anyone other than the residents or taxpayers of the town of Hartford to dispose of solid waste, construction debris, or septic in the town of Hartford in any manner. The burning of any waste, including solid waste other than wood, trees, tree limbs, branches, logs, leaves, twigs, grass, and plant cuttings, under any circumstances is expressly prohibited within the town of Hartford. It says if there's evidence that one of those rules have been broken, you notify the board of selectmen and then issue a notice of violation and then issue it in order to correct the violation if ongoing.
Okay,
And then impose a fine.
okay,
And then it continues as other remedies.
yep. Okay, subdivision application final plan, $200. Subdivision application preliminary, $150 per lot or dwelling. Subdivision application preliminary sketch, $50 per lot or dwelling. Table and chairs, $50 refunded if in same condition.
Is that to be for borrowing from here? Any number? Yeah,
I was writing, you're on it, tables and chairs?
Yeah,
so you can borrow.
it doesn't matter how many they borrow.
So any amount.
yeah, generally speaking, the chairs that are loaned out in the folders, not these chairs. At least that's my understanding. Always has been.
Makes sense.
First, years ago, we had, tables that were made out of chipboard and somebody borrowed them for a wedding, it rained out. They left out in the rain and of course they
Oh,
pretty much
hard.
dissolves.
Yeah,
So that's why we started having,
process.
we actually had to charge for it, because before it was, sure, come on, get the tables,
Yep,
have a party. Which seemed fair enough at the time, until somebody really abused the
Doesn't take
situation.
care of it, right?
Yeah,
okay, 13-inch, 15-inch tire collection, $2. 16-inch to 20-inch tires, $6. 20-inch and above, $12. Go ahead.
I think you should review this after we get our bill from Bulky to see if we should
What?
be charging this much, see how much we're billed for the
Yeah.
trucking of the tires, because he said they're in high demand right now.
Mhm. Town hall rental, $100. $25 refund if in the same condition. And tree cutting permit application, $25. That's the end of that. Any questions on Zoom or anything?
No. Do you see any ones that you think should be changed?
No, I like the idea of reviewing the electric bulky waste, see what we get charged for the tires. I did notice out on the road that there are quite a few people with tires with no stickers on them.
Yeah.
Still today,
And he will not pick them
Yeah.
up, correct? We told
we
him.
sent them Archie's a letter. telling
We
him-
asked them not to pick them up if they didn't have a sticker on them. There are, I'm gonna say 6 or 8, pump truck tires up by the dumpster in, that Lavender Farm Road. You know, or pump or other type of truck, I suppose.
Somebody did buy some tires for big. I don't think
Yeah.
it was him.
Well, it wasn't them. And of course, there's a guy who is in the logging business right in my door, right in the neighborhood, so, you know, we can't be sure where the tires came from, but.
Have an idea.
So what do you do in a
right?
case like that,
Mm,
They haul them back in.
you know?
Someone tried to put a tire, 2 tires in our dumpster this past winter, and every time Archie's dumped the dumpster, emptied it, he would
Right,
take the
takes out
tires
the
out
tires.
and set them out. And of course, the dumpster is sitting on Mary Campbell's property. Oh, and of course, we made a commitment to keep that property clean, so I ended up taking the tires, and as you know, I disposed of them today with stickers.
Yeah, well, in any case.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Archie's at that meeting he came to, said they were in high demand out. Wherever he hauls them to,
Mm.
recycling them and using. them.
Probably, yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't say that we could be paid for them on the other hand.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I said he didn't offer to pay us for them.
No, but I looked at last year's charge and it was under 300. I think it was 2 something, if I looked at it correctly. So I wanna look at the new bill and see what we
Okay.
actually pay to get rid of these tires.
Okay,
To figure labor too, I guess.
you know,
Hmm. Yep. Hmm. You guys okay with the bills? I mean, things here?
what is this?
No, I guess not. You don't need one because you know all the laws.
Are they changing it?
No, that's all the stuff that's supposed to be in there. I don't know how that stuff that you have. I'm in that. Well, I'm working on that right now.
No, so we're on a fee schedule right now. So are there any questions on the fee schedule?
Looks good to me. You agree with everything on this one? Yeah,
I'm just curious on the first one, alcohol licensing fee. Is that when you have a caterer here at town hall? Or is that like what we voted on last year for the vineyard that have a liquor license?
There may be, I think that's mainly for in the town hall, but I think there are times when we have to approve liquor catering. Didn't we have a wedding in town just recently where, somebody had, a restaurant from out of town come in and do the food and the liquor?
I think it's for the vineyard,
That's what it was.
to opening alcohol sales in Hartford.
Yeah,
They have to pay a fee.
Now, do we charge anything for when we sign,
No.
when we sign something for,
The
does somebody have beer and wine
state.
at
The
their wedding
state
here at the hall?
has a
That's the state.
$10.
Jen from Bolingbrook Farms had suggested, and I mentioned it too, that other towns do charge a fee when a vendor comes in from out of town, they're expecting to pay a fee that we don't charge. Other towns do charge a fee to have a licensed caterer come in with liquor license, and everything else, and they have to pay a vendor fee. At this point, we're not. It's like $30 in Lewiston and Auburn. I know it's not a lot, but
Yeah, I don't know how often we'll actually have a call service. If it.
Occasional.
But $20 fee is, and some residents, I'm thinking about a lot to do. All right, thanks, this is curious.
if you and Cindy invite me over for a drink, you don't have to pay a $50 fee. I'll just, you can serve me a drink if you want.
All right. We can do that. I'll keep the return.
You can return also.
Does anybody online have any comment?
We'll make a motion to accept these.
Not yet.
No,
No, you can't do that until we get in the meeting. This is a hearing. There's 6 whole minutes.
So we are not hearing anything, are we?
No, but, so,
Well, we ask the question.
Yes.
How did your day go?
Oh, it was so long. I had a fight with the refrigerator, and I'm not sure, I think I won, but my refrigerator died. And I didn't realize that I changed out the door to my house since that refrigerator went in. Surprisingly enough, it wouldn't come out. So Sawzall to the rescue. It's Rusty said, remember that Sawzall I gave you on Christmas mom? So we literally cut most of it apart and brought it to the top of the hill for bulky waste after we paid our fee. Just in time, but then I'm like, I bought a secondhand fridge to replace it. And so but I'm like, we have it plugged in underneath the overhang. I go, I want to make sure that thing works and works good before I put it in
Yeah.
and have to take the door off and everything else. Before we go through the fiasco we went through last night. And then the ground is so soft because you guys probably didn't know, but it's been raining every single day. So the appliance dolly would not go up the hill, it would just sink with that big refrigerator on it, the part we didn't have to cut apart. And so Rusty got the four-wheeler out, and just like something out of a TV show, redneck four-wheeling, he hauled that with a tow strap, hauled that thing up the hill, knocked over like 20 things along the way, like bowling pins, and we got it up the hill to be picked up today. It was quite the adventure. 10 o'clock by the time we got it out. Yeah. It is what it is, making memories, right? So that's my day this morning. I was already laid down.
you go walking stick, Bonnie.
Yes.
Does that work good?
Down here.
What's that got a bend to it or something? Is that,
My brother on Davis one used to have back. And no time to back to a bar, so, yeah, it's pretty cool.
How cool is that? You walked all the way down?
Yeah.
That's all
I
right.
walk on ice, it's nice to read, and you walk on ice nice and pull out, and you walk out.
Very cool.
Yeah.
hello, Lenny?
There's candy on that back table, and for those of you that have like little tiny Tootsie Roll Pops, like the perfect size for
Yeah,
Adults.
Tootsie Roll Pops, which are also victim to shrinkflation.
yes. That's the reason I had one earlier. So with our back there, everybody wants any, besides me and Leah.
Thank you.
Mhm. Yes. That's why I asked. Yeah. First, I didn't know who it was. First, I didn't know who it was.
Very small. Thank you for the reminder from my phone. From my reading. Mine was, or I remind people.
Oh, yeah, no. Whatever it is. Why do we accept the fees?
Well, I think you need to call me to do it and we'll start.
With that?
I mean, assuming the fee schedule approval is here.
Oh, okay, okay, I see.
Okay.
All right, we'll call a meeting to order. We approve the minutes June 1st, 2023, Selectmen's Meeting, and June 8th, 2023, public hearing. I'll make a motion that we approve those minutes.
I second that.
I second it. Oh, all in favor? Moving up. Whoops. And to approve warrant 24 and payroll warrants from May 1st, 31st, 2023, June 14th, 2023, June 14th, 2023.
I would like to amend that warrant. So that we either hold the check or create
It's already in there, and if we have to do that, but go ahead.
So that we hold the check for the final contract payment for lawn care, so that we can affirm that all the services have been done. The contract goes to the end of June. And I know it needs to come out of this fiscal year, but if we either hold the check or create a new one at the last week of June, so we can verify that the work has been completed.
My understanding is if we approve it now, it can still be paid after. You
I
cannot.
can't hold a check out once it's been approved, and you might wanna look at, you might wanna hold off on the whole warrant until you get further down. I'm not sure.
You want to just approve the payroll warrants for now and discuss that later?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ken,
So I move to approve the payroll warrants.
I second that.
okay, all in favor again? Okay, reports, RSU 10 report. Nothing?
And the budgets got approved yesterday for on Tuesday?
I haven't heard the results, just for heart.
Yes,
I haven't heard even.
I think it did. I think everything went through.
Anyone have any news on the school budgets? Did they get approved? We've not heard overall.
Buckfield and Hartford approved it.
Sumner didn't.
I don't know. I didn't look up Sumner. I imagine they did, but
Oh, the other
I,
town-
I looked up, I looked up Buckfield, and of course I got the results from Hartford. And both of those towns approved it by quite a margin.
This was a town that was way.
So you don't know about the rest of the school district then?
Don't know what?
The rest of the school district, we don't know?
I haven't, no, I don't know. You mean the other towns?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. There's a meeting a school board meeting next Tuesday on the 20th. And they'll have all of that, I'm sure, during that meeting. I don't know about the other towns, other than Hartford and Buckfield. The school board member from Buckfield will be Mrs. Hinckley. She won the vote for that.
Right.
Okay, thanks, Richard.
Yeah.
Road report. Road contracts.
The next meeting.
Next one. Tucker Road culverts. Al.
All right, I'm not only here to talk about the Tucker Road situation. I believe if people post culverts that apply, Paige Mass calling about it, she said if they don't argue, then that would be good. I called Leanne all the time. It doesn't seem like it gets to the right channels to get things fixed, so if people know that they can post the pictures, then maybe we could get them fixed. This is what you got to fill out.
Supposed to, yeah.
Complaint form. Did you get a complaint form?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be able to post it on the community page, if that would be considered political.
Okay, so could this complaint form be posted online
It's on the website.
on the website, so I can tell people, and they could, and in here they can put the picture, right?
Well, the other thing is that if you're talking about what is commonly known as Polly's page, that is a multiple town page.
Okay,
And a lot of times people complain about this happened or that happened, and people say, are you in Sumner or Canton or Buckfield or, I mean, because you know, and so I'm not sure that complaining about your town in a multiple town page makes any
It
sense at
wouldn't
all.
be allowing.
So for cleaning the culverts prior to storms, I asked Jerry about it. Then he told me, probably was on the, I think it was you, off and get a shovel and clean it out. What I'm seeing is that's not really covered for years. Since-
That's been a while.
Greater.
Yeah,
When I
just-
asked me about culverts, she said, we don't clean them, we just replace.
Well, just make out
No,
a
I
complaint.
I didn't
Complaint
say
form.
that, I didn't say that to infer that that was a good thing. I just,
Right, and I'm just trying to find out.
realistic about it.
If you don't take care of your culvert, are they, if they take to have them change? I'm not sure by somebody in that organization, but
I was
ahead,
gonna
Lee.
say, FEMA called me, Allison Hill called me yesterday and said that you were into request that the town of Hartford receive no FEMA money because we don't.
I actually went on again and called her again today, but she sent me an email.
She wasn't in.
She was in this morning, she was actually, doing a class, doing some learning stuff. So yeah, I called her and I said, this is not what I wanna know, I wanna know what the statute is for paying culverts. And then getting FEMA on. You know, I'm not saying don't pay for it, if it's kind of store, fine, but if it's something that, if I don't put oil in my vehicle. And the engine goes, you think that you can shit, you're gonna pay for it. So that's where I'm at with this. I'm not against the town getting their culverts fixed or anything like that. It's not that way. It's, you should be responsible. If Jeremy messes up somebody's basement or crashes into the foundation while he's backfilling, it's gonna be on him. He's not gonna go and say, hey, it's not my fault that I backfilled, it's just not your foundation. Right? And that's just the way things work.
We put 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 yards of sand out a year now in town. And when we get a spring storm, a lot of that sand from the roads are in these culverts before spring or summer, you know, out here,
Yeah,
What I'm seeing is in the fall, leaves come, you know, that starts to climb up the branches, so we have to have some kind of, like you were doing, as soon as you started grading, you just clean the culverts.
So, but this sounds like a really good way, if we start reporting culverts that are full or clogged or whatever. Through here, then we can develop a target list, so this is a culvert cleaning day, these are 10 people that reported bad culverts and.
Right, it's just hard for people, I think people, because they have the telephones, they can post it faster. People don't want to do like those things.
Yeah, but
We have a
Facebook's not a good place for that.
We have a policy that complaints are not to be accepted on any social media.
Okay.
But this, we can get this online on our website,
Yes.
that's good, so please develop that.
Richard,
Uh,
let's see.
go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, yes, one other thing I neglected to mention that I wanted to. Tuesday afternoon, late in the afternoon, I went down to Buckfield High School where there was a gathering to celebrate Jerry Wiley's commitment to the school board. He was on school boards 51 years. Several, different ones. The old one here, and then RSU 10, and the 11 that down in Oxford Hills, and I guess one or two more. 51 years. They gave him a real nice looking plaque, and there was quite a few attended, and congratulated him. So I really intended to mention that under school board, and I'm sorry I forgot.
Thanks for
Maybe he's
attending.
surprised.
So could a picture be emailed to the town?
Yeah,
Just do that and make out a complaint.
Right, you know, most people will complain, but they don't want to say nothing.
well, and
They'll
Then-
give us
then they're
target
com-
lists.
The
Then they're
complaint
complaining-
says it.
Yeah, then they're complaining it's being worth the paper. it's
I'm
written on.
asking.
I think that that would create it's a great idea. It would create a target list so that I saw on Bim's budget for this upcoming year, he had like $500 on these side roads, and he said just cleaning culverts and things when we get to doing that. And this would create a great target list of where to start.
Okay.
It's a good idea.
Try and make the word out there somehow.
Lenny,
My question was, is it fillable online and we have it? Or is it, it's a PDF?
PDF, we have them at the office too. though.
okay, constable report.
You
What
gonna
do you
read the
think?
road report or no?
I think we're done with the road report.
Did you review the road report?
What was it?
Do you have one?
I don't know.
I didn't have one.
I didn't
Maybe
see a
you
road
don't.
report printed out.
Planning
Seems like,
board,
seems like she sent it in an email. Reports for tonight's meeting. probably. Oh, here we go.
okay, thanks. Who wants to read this? Sue, wanna read it?
I don't know if we need to read it or do you wanna? It's quite lengthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be written entirely out loud.
And kind of was sense, so we can move them ahead of
I
time.
was required to,
So that's,
if I remember.
it's efficient. I read them when you send them, thank you.
I have something else to say before you move on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's that? Oh, you guys not too big enough. That's why I figured that should.
Yep.
It's already ahead now. Then.
And there was something else you needed.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that our lawyer in Stockford
Stockford.
received a letter from Julie Sampson's lawyer with an attachment of it from an engineer about her problem with it. But I don't think he can act on anything until he gets permission from you to hire him,
And I think that's right.
but he wanted Bim's phone number, so.
Well, it's public phone number.
Richard had his hand up, I don't know, if it's still up or new.
Have you got a question, Richard?
Oops. No, I neglected to take my hand down, sorry.
Okay. Okay, I guess we're done with the roads, right? Constable report?
Trevor report. I had to, 5 warnings at the beach. And apparently I think one person got upset.
One person was upset.
Even notes on the open.
Pardon?
Leaving people work on them, posting on our shit.
Yeah, so you left a note on the windshield. And they have this,
Except they didn't have a permit and they hadn't paid it.
Right, it was, and there was something about it.
and who was a friend of theirs?
They told me
Uh,
they purchased stickers, but they weren't happy about the letters. I said that's what the constable was instructed to do, instead of running down people, leave them a letter.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's a learning process and. Get next year, they get a sticker right off the bat.
That's good. CEO report.
So you have that in your packet.
Yeah. Year-to-date building permits, 9 this year, 8 last year. Hmm,
But a lot fewer plumbing permits.
yeah. Hmm.
Did everyone get that code enforcement report? Anyone read it online? There were, 9 building permits, last year there were 8 at this time. Plumbing permits issued 3 this year, 9 last year at this time.
Good. ACO report. Nothing.
I'd like to make note that we're gonna ask the ACO to start submitting reports on her activities. We've not been receiving any and have not heard from her today as planned.
Planning board. One right here.
There's minutes.
Yep,
From May,
yep, May 1st. Ordinance committee. See, met yet until after. Fire warden report. Nothing. Treasurer report. Bank reconciliations. May 23rd. Yeah, I got this. Hmm. Hmm.
Make note of the interest, I don't know if it's on you.
Hmm,
Does it show how much interest we earned this in May at the bottom? It's on the,
it's April. Mm-hmm. What's that mean, missing 2692?
it's in a sweep account, so
Huh?
it has transfers to and from the sweep account, and some don't show up in the statement, they'll show up next month.
Hmm.
Can you reach that one or not?
Yeah,
You get it?
You can turn them on right up. front,
Yeah.
can't you?
yeah,
I don't know if the strings are on. Maybe they are.
I think you
Yeah.
can turn them on by the. I don't think anybody needs to read this one.
just if you want to turn them down or up, that would.
That's my understanding. That's okay with
I
me.
mean, not to blow, but.
That's okay with
Staples in
me. Well, let's shift things around.
You see a lot more people paying with credit and debit cards versus a check.
They don't, if they remember their checkbook, they'll bring it, but most people don't think of it.
Okay, bank proposals, Androscoggin versus Northeast Bank. Did the other one ever give in? Bank
I'm sorry?
to match the other one?
No. I don't have the understanding when you have it, but. Yeah, the highest she would offer is 3%. From the Androscoggin, that's as high as they can go.
Oh, you know,
So that Northeast will provide you with a scanner to make.
Yep.
On-site deposits, yeah.
and a courier to come.
And pay 4.65, which is a lot of money when you have a balance like us.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to leave on the table. You know,
Sounds like.
I know we
they're
only
running
went
a
with Androscoggin because they sent somebody over to talk to us and offered us what seemed like a great deal at the time. And I have no reason to feel faithful towards either. Myself.
I mean, I just ordered checks and stuff, but that interest rate will take care of all the extra costs. That we have to change.
Yeah, given that, that interest qualifies as revenue, I don't see how we could
Right,
not.
and the roadblocks,
Didn't
so
we just see that?
they're living there, everything else is all been
You can see,
taken away.
you can see on the front page here, isn't
That's
that
right.
1,747,825.42
Good hunk of change.
times 4.
And they've
Point-
been paying us 0.75 interest rate, which is ridiculous.
That has been kind of standard for a while now, but for anything is easily worth changing courses, even if it is in the middle of the stream.
And how long's the contract for with the bank?
Not contract.
No,
I mean,
Yeah,
the
no
interest
proposal.
will
If we move things, are we committed to stay there? If,
No, because in any of our CDs are already with Northeast, are they not?
we can take, well,
Obviously, if we have a certificate of deposit and we want to take money out of it beyond the interest, we'd end up having to pay a fee, but our CDs are already with Northeast. Am I right?
Northeast Bank is not as customer friendly at all as Androscoggin, but you can't turn it down. I don't think.
Well, when they decide to
foolish.
drop us down to 1.6% or something like that, we can go back to Androscoggin and they'll be happy to have us. That is kind of how it works.
go ahead,
Right?
Lenny.
I'm sorry to say, I didn't want. Did you look into what credit unions offer? I've actually found credit unions to be a bank by a lot.
Yeah.
But maybe not in the municipal,
for government services.
government banking might be a whole new story. Well,
Great,
Yeah, it might not be.
maybe we're exploring.
I think we need to
Switch.
move our services to Northeast Bank.
would you like to put that in the form
Right.
of a
I would like to make a motion that we move our banking services to Northeast Bank. For apparently an enormous amount more in interest and many accommodations, no driving. no
If
things
it's
like
not
that.
a motion.
Hmm?
Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
part of
yeah.
the motion?
Don't-
Yes.
Don't make any plan.
Yeah, I second it.
Move everything Northeast Bank.
I second it. All in favor? Okay, see, beach newsletter, food bank funds.
So while I was gone for the 5 years, Becky and
Isaac,
Started out with Betty.
yeah, but Becky and Doug, it was like 17, 18. They moved the beach newsletter and food bank funds into town accounts.
Mhm.
When I came back, I was like, "We never did that before." So I stopped doing it. But now that we had that beach controversy and everybody's asking me how much did swing lessons take in, how much was this, and I had no answers. I suggested to you guys that maybe we should have it in the books, and you voted to have the beach newsletter back into that number. Did that include the food bank? Or,
So when the food bank was under the church, were there accounts in the church or were there accounts separate for food bank?
so, I don't think it was in the town books.
Food bank runs under the umbrella of the church. Some that have their account, I have mine,
You have the Hartford account.
right?
Yeah.
So they're two separate accounts. But all fall under the umbrella of the church.
Which the church is no longer, that church or the church that just folded?
The
East Sumner.
East Sumner
East
Church,
Sumner.
okay.
Yeah.
So how do we account for the funds? I'm probably as honest as the day is long, but how do we account for funds that come in that say, hey, we want to give to the Hartford Food Bank. And say, who gave the money last, Otis Federal Credit or Oxford? Federal Credit?
Otis, I believe.
Otis, I think.
I'd have to look.
Well, I'm pretty sure
Oh,
you said Otis because that's
did
my
it?
credit
Okay.
man. Yeah.
So, like, when I,
But did I understand it correctly, Leanne, that this check was made out to the town of Hartford and earmarked for the food bank?
Right.
Correct. So if it's made out to the town of Hartford, only the town
She
of
was
Hartford can
talking
deposit it, right?
Not according to Northeast.
Oh, I'll go get a copy, but
so, I'm just, since I've written grants before and stuff, I just didn't know if, when someone says to me, show me where all the expenses went when you applied for this grant or whatever. If someone says, okay, we wrote a check to the town of Hartford, Otis Federal Credit Union. Can you tell us how the money was spent? We can't, but we would have to come to you, and I'm assuming you have some sort of fiscal
So you have
accountability.
more records than you can shake your stick at. You can only have every penny to the man, to the county.
Mhm.
So, and you have your records and East Sumner has theirs?
Yep.
Can we get a quarterly, update, like once a quarter, and we'll put it in our books and we'll say, see, there we got it.
Yep.
Is that a problem? Anyone?
I don't know. All Bill's gotta do
Well,
is say,
what
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean is, like, they just wrote a check to the town of Hartford.
Is it actually a town
an
function?
accounting of what the food bank spends per month, I can get that for you.
I'm just saying that if someone writes a check and they send it to the town of Hartford, knowing that as a tax write-off or the credit union. And so we're of course gonna give it to the food bank, that's where it's supposed to go. But if they then call us and say, oh, so we're applying for these federal dollars because all the credit unions are all about feeding the hungry, that's like the big mission. So, we wanna know where this has been spent. I just think since they wrote the check to the town of Hartford, that we ought to have some sort of quarterly statement or something that says, hey, these people are knocking it out of the park. And here's the accountability. So they can't come back and say, you just gave the money to somebody, you don't know what's going on. I'm just, only because I've been in grant writing before, I just,
We can get you the accounting of everything whenever.
I don't think we need all that. I'm just thinking a quarterly statement of how many people you fed and here's all the money we spent.
We already have to keep those records for CFAP and Good Shepherd
Yeah,
and any place else that we get.
but I would love to see like that in the newsletter and look at, I mean, what a great thing you guys are doing. Know what I mean? I think people.
So what,
guys are speedy people. I think
so my
people-
question is, what do we have to do to take that from our account into theirs? Leanne?
I have a check ready. That's why I said
Oh,
wait until
okay.
you decide.
Oh, all right.
But, what's the Northeast Bank? You said that's not what Northeast Bank said?
No, they, I didn't have a problem when I got the, donation from. Last year we got one, and you would call me up and said, Polly, I got a check here for you.
Yeah.
For the food bank. It was made out to they all make them out to the town of Hartford. For the food bank,
Okay.
took it to
Yeah, the
Northeast.
East Town of Hartford.
I
Yeah.
had my identification with me and everything, no problem,
Okay,
went right in.
that was no problem.
Because that was when we had a local bank.
And that was before you decided to
Right.
have these groups in.
Mhm.
town.
But I think if a check's made out to town of Hartford, we should deposit it and then write a check to
Food bank.
the food bank.
That'd be the easier way.
And then, because rules are changing, banks are closing, things are changing over, I just think it's a financially a way to track it the way we should.
Okay, good. Leanne,
Richard's hands up.
go ahead, Richard.
Well, I think that it's impossible for the food bank to let everybody who might want to make a donation to the food bank know where the check is supposed to go. I mean, there's probably hundreds of organizations and so forth that might consider giving money to the food bank. And how is the food bank supposed to? So that's why the checks come into the town office. Because there is no, they don't know where else to send it. And I think you're doing the right thing, from what I'm hearing. But that is certainly money that's intended for the food bank. And that's where it should go.
It would be unethical if someone gave a donation to the food bank made out to the town of Hartford for it to go anywhere else but the food bank. And I would be.
Right.
If we ever did anything.
Right, exactly.
We would.
Yeah.
We don't get that many.
I placed it in the reserve account that was already set up for while I was gone, the food bank reserve account. I didn't put it in the roads or.
Mm-hmm.
You did the right thing. Awesome.
One more comment.
Yeah,
I don't think it's necessary or appropriate for the town select board to oversee expenditures made by the Hartford Sumner East Congregational Church, their food bank. That's not something that the select board has any reason to oversee.
We're not
I
overseeing
agree.
it.
I don't have a problem, Richard, with what has been discussed. Take my word for it.
Don't put his hand down.
Yeah, now you're talking about
When I get home.
You got my number.
I think he's agreeing with you,
Yeah.
Polly.
So what about the other two? Do you still feel like they should be in the town books or? It's been going back.
Yeah, I
and
think
forth?
so, town
I do.
works. Yes,
I
The other
do.
two.
When, I can remember when the recreation committee was kicked out of the town, and it struck me as being wrong-headed at the time. So,
So if it, I think I put something in your packet, if it stays in the town books, we should have some guidelines.
what they,
for each.
yep. Yep,
Would be more, closely related to the town.
yep. Yeah, go ahead, Mo.
What did we say about the beach, or what was included about the beach and newsletter funds? Are they gonna stay the same, or is the end because it's enough to take over the newsletter fund?
The newsletter fund
Staying.
currently resides under the town budget? No?
It was when I came back. But it never was before, so I was like, why is it like this? But I couldn't see moving the the beach, the recreation to the town, just the beach. Just the recreation. It's up to you guys, you tell me.
Who, so the newsletter. They have a budget, I'm assuming,
Maybe,
or do we just pay their expenses or they have a budget?
no, they have a budget.
So they're part of the town newsletter. Is it part of Hartford?
they've been treated off and on like a social service and sometimes like a town committee.
But you know, I mean, what could be more Hartford than Hartford News? I mean, I don't know.
It's just that if they're part of the town books, we should have guidelines, just like all the other committees and.
But they don't get donations like the food bank.
Mo,
Actually, there has been donation, very infrequently, but there has been donation to the newsletter. one time Island fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
Don't, I don't think it happened very often, but it had. But the funds are delegated, well, through the town meeting, there's so much given to the newsletter. Okay, and then and that's deposited into the newsletter account, and she uses it as she needs it. And I believe that rolls over to the next month, so the next annual year, so we don't have to ask, or she doesn't have to ask for more money. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Everybody on the newsletter committee is volunteer. The only expense we have is paper, ink, and what we pay the person who prints. So, and that's all right now.
Mhm.
So.
So far.
Arthur tells us that-
On the other hand, if the day comes when Arthur is no longer able to do this,
We'll have to figure something.
then we will have to take it
that's
somewhere
not-
to have it printed.
It's Arlene who keeps the books and pays Arthur, and he tells her he has stats. He has saved us a ton of money.
And if I'm not mistaken, I don't have my budget book with me, but if I'm not mistaken, they have faithfully submitted a budget request that includes an accounting of disbursements.
Yes.
We
Yeah,
submitted them both right, like the day before the budget meeting met. So when you guys were having all your beach discussions, I had nothing. Zero.
Yep.
okay.
Alas, that is the thing about volunteers.
Well, all the communication for the Hartford News has been paid for by Morrow and Arlene online since 1997.
At your house?
Excuse me?
At your house?
No, the Hartford News email through First Light.
Through Gmail.
Yeah, well, through First Light, which is,
It used to be all
on-
through.
Right, but Gmail is on every, I could sign into my Gmail account, even though I started under First Light, I can sign into it anywhere.
Right about that. Laurel and Arlene names are on that account and they pay the bill
Mhm.
for the Wi-Fi that goes into their house, which includes everything.
Right.
Their stuff. I use their account.
Mhm.
That isn't paid for by the town.
No, my internet's not paid for by the town, but I do a bunch of work there.
No, the Hartford News.
Right, but I do a bunch of select board work at my home, for sure.
Right. So it is missing under the auspices of the town, is what my point.
Moral.
Yes.
We're talking about Hartford News @megalink.net. Any account that's at megalink.net is a paid subscription to the internet.
And it's Morals and Arlene's,
Right,
Mhm.
okay.
always has been.
What is the?
Mhm.
HARTFD
No, FTD.
FTD. No, HARTFDNEWES. I'm reading
Oh, right.
Hartford
Yeah, yeah.
News,
I don't think it matters.
Hartford without an O, news @megalink.net. The @megalink.net is the key piece.
So,
But if you and Arlene pay for it,
Moral, at this point, does Arlene want to continue to do the books? Does she want us to move the accounting under the town?
No, I don't think so.
No, she just asked you two different questions. You can't just say, no, I don't think so.
Mhm.
She doesn't want, I mean, she.
She would like to
Yeah.
continue to do the books. Is that
No,
what you?
no, she will do the books. And I don't have, you know, if something happens, I don't mind doing the books. But, okay, you're looking at me real weird here, too, so what's the question that I'm missing?
So right now, we give them money, it goes into their account or the Hartford News.
The newsletter.
Mhm.
Right.
You know,
Checking.
it always had, well, since I came back, we kind of checked to them for the whole requested amount.
Which pays for the ink and the paper and everything that you paid to Arthur.
And
And
Right, and then
Yeah.
they cut the checks
that's
for
really all.
said
I-
said supplies.
Yeah.
Yes, postage.
so I thought we nailed it.
No.
No,
Oh,
No, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, the bulk mail permit actually belongs to the Hartford News, which is the same bulk mail permit that we use when we send out
tax
tax bills,
Town
and,
reports.
and town reports, et cetera, et cetera.
really the Hartford uses.
I believe so.
Bulk mail.
Is it not?
It's called the Town of Hartford bulk mail permit, but you pay for it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, no, we-
Didn't know it.
I think you were.
Yeah. Does it, but does it not come out of the, newsletter account, the permit? No.
I
the
have
town
no
pays-
idea.
We have paid for it, I think it comes out of the. But has it always been that way? I mean, you use it. I mean, the town uses it, but
But you pay.
we have.
Oh, we pay
but we
postage.
fund it,
You know, the town pays. the
we
postage.
fund it, we give you the money
Yeah,
and
right, true.
And does this permit have to be renewed annually, or how does that work?
It's been working.
Annual.
It's not
No,
like
I'm-
something that ain't broken.
No, I'm not, I'm asking if it's something that's an annual expense.
Yes.
It is. Okay,
But you pay for your maintenance, you don't pay, we
well,
don't pay. for
of
yours.
course,
You're just using the permit,
naturally.
it's not a big one.
well, in theory, we paid for all of it, because we're paying the money in the budgets. So
Except what we bring in revenue.
I'm just curious, what is that?
Oh, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Well, do you know what the newsletter brings in for revenue?
When
I'm
we-
just curious.
What's bringing in revenue?
Yeah,
Um.
Lenny mentioned ads.
Okay, you mean to talk about ad?
Yeah,
Okay, well, I hope we go look at the newsletter and count it up times the yearly thing, $35. So there's gonna be 20 ads in there, maybe.
Well, change.
She can- she
I'm
can-
gonna put
I'm
20
curious.
ads.
I'm not,
So,
I'm
70,
just curious.
But I just, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're gonna keep the food bank separate from the speech.
So, but now, what I wanna know is, I think what I'm hearing is that, the newsletter is, are members of the newsletter asking to keep the newsletter at more or less as a social service, and you just get your money and that's that, and you take care of your own accounting? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't do the books.
Well, nor do I.
Mhm.
All right,
I'll bring my phone to
No,
you.
no, no, come on.
So I don't know either.
So you already voted to have them in the town book, so that's how it was budgeted, but.
We bring in just under that. In revenue. Ad revenue, so really it is significant, and we don't ask for that much more. And then, just challenges.
So we could still do the same with the food bank, but when something comes in, we could just cut them a check.
when people write a check to pay for their ad, do they make it up to the town of Hartford? Do they make it out to the Hartford News?
The newsletter. And doesn't go down there, she tells them, never write me a check. Yeah. He doesn't want to have that happen.
She doesn't want it coming to her name, she wants it to be Hartford News.
Her name at all.
Right, but she maintains an account somewhere that is the Hartford News.
That's right.
And you have no EIN or anything, you don't have any, because you set the account up so long ago, they have not. an employer identification number or any identification number on the account, like a social security number or.
There aren't even employees.
Right, I know, that's why I'm wondering, because today they couldn't go in and set up an account.
I mean, because he is the owner of the checking account, he's the owner, so he and I are on it. That's not really but yeah, I mean, I'm sure that the bank requires her to get those readings.
Right, because you can't open an account otherwise without some sort of
Yeah.
associated ID number.
Someone on Facebook got a question, on Facebook. Zoom got a question?
I was gonna make a comment, but maybe somebody else is.
No, Richard.
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I would think that as far as the food bank is concerned, if the check comes in, excuse me, if the check comes in made out to the food bank, then you would just pass it on. If it comes in made out to the town of Hartford, then the town of Hartford would have to cash it like we're doing this time. But if it comes in made out to the Hartford Food Bank, all that would have to be done is just handed from somebody to Polly or Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Are we clear on this?
that's mine.
I'd like to be clear on this, but okay, so let me understand this. If we decide to have the food bank be a separate entity, then what if the check comes in, if the check comes in made out to the town of Hartford, but but it says food bank right on it, then it can be just turned over to Polly anyway? Or to whoever happens to be running the food bank at the time? Correct?
If she can cash it.
Yeah,
I
just
think
had-
it's clear, I think it's better if it's made out to the town of Hartford, that Leanne deposit it and then write a check to Polly under the account name that Polly has for Hartford Food Bank, whatever. It's clear.
Right.
Anybody that wrote the check might be claiming it as a donation or whatever. And they might need to make it out to the town of Hartford for that reason. As long as Polly gets the money, that's the priority. If it's made out for the food bank. For
Right.
town of Hartford, if it's made out directly to food bank, Polly should have it anyway.
right.
But discussing the newsletter, right now they have their own account been that way. I know we voted on it earlier, but I didn't really understand how all the accounts work. That's why I have so many questions. And I've been involved with Meals on Wheels Senior Plus. I wrote several grants to get people fed. But you know, a lot of it has to do with not-for-profits and different status. So I was just very curious on how we're kind of keeping track of everything. Just because I want it to be as clear as possible so that people don't think we're doing any hanky-panky, because there's been some in other towns. I want to be as above board and transparent in this town.
Well, the food bank is separate from the town of Hartford. The food bank, the Hartford Food Bank is not under the town of Hartford, it's under the church and is combined with, loosely, with the town of Sumner. And so as I said before, I don't, other than handling the check one way or another, I don't see that the town has any anything to do with the food bank.
Daryl.
Richard, be quiet.
I guess what I don't understand is why the town of Hartford simply tell whoever sent them the check, go to the food bank to write a check directly to the food bank. Why does the town of Hartford need to be a middle person?
We don't. We get a check that says food, says town of Hartford on it, designated to the food bank.
We never know who's gonna be donating. This is,
Why are people donating town of Hartford to go to the?
I don't know why
Because they
they,
don't know who the contact person would be.
Right, if you get a check from me to you, the town of Hartford, and I say, send it to the food bank, why don't you just say to me, why don't you take that check, rip it up and send a check to the food bank? Why should the town of Hartford be involved at all? You run the risk of malfeasance occurring, even though I'm not suggesting anybody here would, but you set up that potential by becoming a middle person.
But it's not that easy. As CM Brown, we just made a donation to Make-A-Wish Maine. And basically for a certain event that's being run in Lewiston Auburn. Well, because the corporate overhead is Make-A-Wish National, somehow, when our accounting department was getting it set up, sent it out west. Well, they deposited it. The people here in New England didn't get it. Now they can say, stop payment on that check, but it's already been cashed. We're not gonna write another one, and if we do, it has to go through another approval process. Same thing with Otis Federal Credit Union. If we sent the check back and say,
Mm.
here, write it here, the food bank will be missing that money. It could be 2 or 3 months before the next, they approve donations quarterly. So to do that, the fastest way is for Leanne to deposit that check and give Polly the money.
On top of that, somebody has to be responsible for sending it back and making this request, so. I'm not sure if the clerical time involved in sending a check back, excuse me. The clerical time involved in sending a check back and asking them to redistribute the money is really less than just writing a check to Polly.
Go ahead, Leslie.
I was just gonna say, I understand the questions, but I think what Susan's saying makes great sense. The check comes in, any check that comes in that's made out of the town of Hartford could be processed by the town of Hartford and then it goes.
Just run it through the account, just pass through the account, basically.
And it's simply a pass through the account, and then I support what Susan said, I think it makes sense to request a report in the same way that Hartford used to send the report every year. A report, when you do it quarterly, whenever, that simply says, you know, this amount of money essentially was passed through of the town. Let us know what happened with it. We have a report back that says this is what happened with it.
Mhm.
It's very clear and has super sense, transparent, that makes sense. And that way, if you're people that are using the fact that they can give the money by the town and put it on their taxes, as opposed to trying to find out whether or not the food bank has a 501c3 or whatever.
That's true.
It's clear, and a lot of people may choose to do it that way just because it's very simple.
Easier.
It's easier.
Certain are exempt from 501c. Right. But we're still taxing that.
Ken,
I agree that it sounds like it's the cleanest way to have the factual transparency that you need to have. Like going to the town of Hartford, for example, I'll use the cemetery committee. If someone wanted to donate $1,000 to that town of Hartford cemetery committee, they'd write the check to the town of Hartford. To the committee, it would be processed by the committee, put it through the account for the committee. Same for food bank, same for a donation that went to the newsletter.
Yeah.
They're all entities of the town.
Mo,
Well,
One of these,
because we do an annual report for the budget while asking for the next.
yeah,
know, you already have an annual. account. And if you want more, Holly said, she'd be
Yeah.
more than happy to provide it.
and, Mo,
Okay, much of the vote.
In Ken's instance, why did the donation come in to the cemetery committee? That's a cemetery committee is a town entity.
is
The
what?
food bank, you go to the name Hartford on it, is not a town entity. So therefore, if people wanted to make a donation for tax purposes, I would give it to the town, I'd give it to the food bank, because the food bank is gonna be a write-off also.
Mhm, yeah,
So what's the difference? I mean, I would say if you're going to. If Polly gets a donation, I would say, would you please make it out to the Hartford food bank? Because she does give reports and so there is accounting for that. So that's how I would handle it. I'd say. Hartford food bank, please notify the donors And just make it up to us, because we don't have to go through.
We want to do that.
And really, the town does not have any business knowing what the Hartford Food Bank is doing. Except
Except we make a donation to them, and as a
Well-
donor,
Well, if the donor wanted to make it the food bank, then it should go right to the food bank and not the town, because the town now would like to look at, I believe, an accounting for that money that came in, which they have no business of doing, because it doesn't go to them. It's, the town needs to transfer agent, bingo,
Right.
on to them, that's it.
Right,
but as we give a donation to the Hartford Food Bank as a town of Hartford,
The town does it.
right, and we do.
And you know what happens to.
Daryl.
Leanne,
Leanne, go ahead.
I've talked to other towns, they do put it through their town books and then issue a check.
I don't see how we can get away with it legally,
And
not putting it through our books.
you do both beach and recreation and newsletter do submit a report right before budget meetings start. But during the summer, like I said, when the beach controversy was going on, they were asking the people across the street, me, everybody for figures, and no one, they couldn't give an answer. That's why I thought we might want to go back and put it in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Got more questions?
Daryl,
So we have the town budget that we vote on every year. In that town budget, we get social services of one sort or another asking for donations. The town votes on $500 for so and so.
mm-hmm,
I write a check to the town and I say, I want it to go to so and so. But we've only budgeted 500 to go to so and so. Money going to the town of Hartford is the town of Hartford's money. The town then is essentially ignoring the budget that's passed by the town at town meeting by doing this pass through.
we're not soliciting donations for the food bank.
Whether you're soliciting, a check is written to the town of Hartford. It is now the town of Hartford's money.
I think the point is, do you want the newsletter and the beach to be in the town books or separate? Because we need to know like right now. Before a town meeting.
I don't think it. Do you think it really matters on the newsletter?
I think. No, if the town wants to take over the books, then somebody's gonna have to be present all the time when they have to be collating all the newsletter and take it over to the post office. And Leanne knows what a hassle that.
It's just the accounting. Do you want the accounting to be in the town book? That's what
I think I'll even keep doing it for.
In other words, no.
No.
This is a yes or no question.
No.
Do you three want the accounting for the two to be?
what's that, Lenny?
Well, what's best. Where the books.
Do you want to oversee what goes on with these two committees? Do you want to get a better accounting turned in if they're separate?
We can request that they turn in their budget requests and their financial stuff sooner than the week of,
Or
budget
answer,
meeting.
answer questions throughout the year?
and they should have some sort
As
of,
needed, yeah.
Do you need more time to think about this, like, you table it to the.
no, I don't think so.
Doesn't sound like. Census.
Somebody.
Do we want to keep the beach as a town entity? I can't picture why, you know, we talk
No.
about the beach. The beach is a town entity, it's part of the town of Hartford. I think what we're really talking about is the recreation committee. Am I correct?
It's not.
So we're not talking about the beach itself. We're talking about the recreation committee, in fact. Correct?
Doesn't have more.
Right, it's not an actual town committee, it's separate.
Never had more time.
Well, yeah, it was.
Just like
It was at one.
So if people want to write a check from their
Before I-
bus,
No,
it
don't bring it.
goes
Let's keep
to
it separate then.
the rec committee. And they have their own account.
Yep.
Ken,
I'm just asking, what's consistent with what you do everywhere else in the town? Isn't it consistent in what it should be?
Excuse me?
I say keep it separate. Keep them to their own,
Keep the newsletter
right,
and the food
right.
And the rec committee.
and the recreation committee. Well, you know, as far as I know, our recreation committee will be ceasing to exist after.
In its current form.
In its current form. Well, it has no other, it has no new form as far as I know.
Mhm.
No new members and therefore no new form. So I don't know that even that is a giant issue. So maybe since the recreation committee will effectively cease to exist unless somehow we end up making it into a committee again, would it be an ad hoc committee, a non-official committee or something like that? Who's going to recruit? You know, I think that people will probably turn up who want to be part of that, but since it's liable to dissolve at the end of this month, when the persons who have been doing this all along retire, then I think that maybe keeping the recreation committee as part of the town makes better sense, because there's not gonna be anybody to keep track of where the
Right,
funds
right,
are
it's going.
spent. I would like
So
to
it'd be a good
suggest,
transition time.
Yep.
I'm going to move that we keep the beach, or rather, the recreation committee as a town entity, and to let the newsletter continue as it has been, and the food bank as well.
Yeah,
Can I get a second?
I second it. All in favor? Good. Okay,
Boy, I'll say.
okay, cemetery committee report. Anything, Ken?
I have, a meeting here, as you've seen in your reminders, next Saturday at 8 o'clock. We have a cemetery committee meeting. We have a few guests coming. One of them is, one of the Canton cemetery ladies. We're gonna be discussing cleaning process and stone repair process, and kind of a learning meeting. And I did speak with one member of the cemetery committee, Joel, and his term in this month, and he is willing to serve for another 5 years. So I would suggest that
Good.
we reappoint him. Anything that you would like me to discuss at the cemetery committee meeting from the selectmen?
Nope.
Nothing right off.
Nope.
If I could possibly make it, which it seems dubious, I'd love to learn a little bit more about cleaning stones myself, but.
We could teach you. I have a written process, and it's easy learning. We'll probably have a workshop. I'm gonna be asking for.
You're talking about
ideas.
next, on Saturday, is gonna be a
No, this
workshop? or
Saturday, no.
Some other time.
Information, you could come. And
Yeah,
I
oh,
could
well,
give you-
I'd rather just show up for the workshop, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay,
My sister's stone, I've been noticing it, I go by almost daily, and my sister's stone is looking very decrepit. It's not in the town of Hartford, but seems like there's nobody else can do anything about it.
well, you should attend the workshop where we have a team. And, you know, there's a process to it
Great.
that we're gonna be discussing.
Great.
We.
I'll
would say
appreciate-
cleaned
I'll
up
appreciate
40
that.
Something so far, but,
Lenny?
yes,
I just want to say thank you. And
well, you're welcome. We have a great committee.
you have really brought that into the community well. So much.
And we have a-
Cemetery committee did okay in the past too.
Yeah.
I think the cemetery committee did real well in the past, and the things have fallen apart a little bit.
Mo?
Hopefully, we'll have a committee after the town meeting. And there's already 3 or 4 people that would like to come out of town. It's really make it no even larger. And then we can set priorities, we can agenda item for Saturday.
I know. Yeah, good. Paul?
Just like, you know, I think I mentioned it, and I know that, yeah, I'm working on, wiring or cutting, some steps for the,
Yep,
So, and, I'll just mention this right now, while talking about that, is, I know maybe it's in here a little way about the, Lorraine would like to have, another monument put out.
Oh, don't we know it? It's in the budget.
And I think, I know where Billy found the last stone, the Irish Museum. There's another stone that's,
Yes, there is.
and I went over there for the meeting and I looked at it, and I think that would be a great addition, because she doesn't want, nobody, the people put the plaques on, they do not want a field stone like that. It's hard to. really-
Oh, that's just gonna fall apart
Yeah,
anyhow.
so I would like to work on it, and Binga's on board with that, and,
Great.
so.
And I don't think, and if I remember right, the reason we snagged that other one is because it was within the town right away.
Yes, and so, yeah, if it isn't, we can pull it into it.
There's a very interesting three-cornered one.
Big one.
There's a very interesting three-cornered one in that same spot.
Yeah,
For
well,
what
this
it's worth.
one is, I think will be. It'll work, it's just like
Yeah.
the Irish one.
The Irish bog one is just an amazing piece.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
This one.
Well, I appreciate you putting some effort into that.
And you always have.
Yeah, well, he always has. That's
Yeah.
right. Can we move on?
Yep. Town office is gonna be closed Monday, June 19th for the holiday. Town meeting will be June 24th at 9 AM. Hartford Heritage Society yard sale is July 1st. And town office be closed Monday, July 3rd for the holiday. And the planning board meeting will be July 3rd, 7 PM.
Regardless of the fact that the town office is closed on that day. Interesting. They actually, last year, they actually met on July 4th.
Yeah, really.
Yes, they did. That struck me as being quite
Yeah.
something.
Unfinished business. Cemetery inspections. I've seen a few that have been done, but I haven't actually rolled around.
So I probably hit 3 or 4. I know Steve was gonna be looking. For those in the room, our cemetery contractor that mows is done. Isaac's done at the end of June, and so we're just inspecting the cemeteries and the other locations that need to be mowed before our new contractor will be starting July 1st. So with his final payment, we just want to make sure that everything is done, spring cleanups are done, and everything's mowed and done as it should be, including the town properties. And
When I went to Full Memorial, to quite a few of the cemeteries, we didn't go to all of them, but we did go to Greenhouse, Lover. The two on, Ronnie Road, Thompson, Barrow. They looked like we had been cleaning them and he had mowed, not to the extent that we hope that Steve will do to the perimeters. And I think that is part of the new contract that it explains to the perimeters. So, yeah, the spring cleanup, I feel could, be defined a little better on what takes place, the actual responsibilities of it, but looked like it was in a work in progress before Memorial. Some weren't done, but what was done, a few that weren't done. The money, but what I saw.
Kathy, what's the name of the cemetery you and I went to that the trees were growing up between the crosses?
Meeting house.
Meeting house.
On Gurney Hill.
Yes. We went up. Kathy, most of spring cleanup before I got there, lots of sticks. But there are crosses. I don't know if anyone's ever been out to that cemetery. It's so cool. But there are trees growing up in the crosses. That is not okay. They need to be pulled up, cut down.
You saw the same thing on 140 Howard Cemetery in the back. We spent an hour there about branches and limbs that had come down.
These are new trees growing up that nobody's pulled out of the ground or anything. Now they're this tall.
Yeah, and there's a number of those throughout the cemetery in the back.
It's one of the reasons why I asked that we.
Steve,
So, I was at Swan Pond Cemetery today, same thing, there's a pine tree growing. Like, it's 6 inches tall.
Might be probably not a pretty road.
Yeah. Okay, junkyard deadline, June 11th, 2023, Harlow, 2 lots.
Is there anyone here from Harlow? No.
You know,
Kathy and I went out and talked to Mr. Harlow. I had taken pictures of the town farm, Lower Town Farm Road. Lot that had been accumulating a lot of new equipment. That was, right after we sent the letters. When I went by the other day, he's moved at least 10 pieces of equipment out of there. There's still a house. There's still, some excavation equipment. But it looks a lot better than it did.
I don't know what he has in mind for that. Two trailers, he looks like he's put them together
What,
closer.
the double wide,
Mm,
There's no permit. He didn't have a permit to move it in. He doesn't have a permit now.
so I don't know what his intentions are for that. If someone plans on living there, or,
I don't believe somebody can.
I would think
I
so.
mean, somebody did for a little spell. So that's all true. So if the deadline was June 11th.
Hmm.
And
We haven't heard anything from him or her. Either way on these letters.
No, they received letters and receipts. It's up to you guys to decide what you want.
Well, I'm willing to drive up and inspect the sites again. Most current. Kathy, do you want to go or?
Yeah,
you wanna
I'll go with you.
I haven't looked at the one on 219. I hardly ever go by that, but. What is the standard we're looking for? Do we want the whole lot clear? Do we want?
They give you a letter, a copy of the
Yeah.
letter that was sent.
all discarded, worn out, or junked plumbing, heating supplies, electronic and industrial equipment, household appliances, furniture, discarded scrap and junk lumber, old or scrap copper, brass, rope, rags, batteries, paper, trash, rubber debris, waste, and all scrap iron, steel, and other scrap ferrous and non-ferrous metals, material, and unregistered or uninspected motor vehicles, vehicle parts, boats, boat parts, and material associated with the junkyard shall be removed from the property and disposed of in an appropriate manner.
So that's really the description of a junkyard, all of those items.
That's what the letter
Yeah, I'd
says.
say so.
Yeah. He only had one additional motor vehicle on the town farm road property when I went by the other day. That was
The lower town farm.
the lower town farm road property, yes. And then equipment. It was a whole lot better.
Well, I guess I'm going to suggest that, I don't, I don't know. Seems to me this might be a job for someone from the select board with of the code
Code officer. Maybe even the constable could come
That could. Good if he's up for it.
and we could go with the list and look at both properties and take it
Because,
from there.
I mean. Not opposed to the idea of going, but I don't have too many free days.
I understand.
And the other thing is, I think technically if a couple of select board members are going, that makes it something that we have to be bonus on.
Okay,
If I'm not mistaken.
What's that?
If two select board members go, it makes it essentially a meeting or a workshop, and we'd have to give a week's notice on it and public notice. I
So
don't know, and I don't know if in a case like this, it's appropriate to let Mr. Harlow know that we're gonna inspect these properties, but it might not be, it might be in order, I mean, inspecting the properties if they're not there. I think we've got a right to, but it might be better if he's there. That being the case, maybe Steve does want to go along.
It's up to either the selectmen to go or appoint an agent, which would be the CEO.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking, it would be select board member and CEO.
Well, I'm happy, the reason I'm willing to go is because I am the one who made him sign the agreement for his current junkyard. And I want him to know we're gonna continue to follow through,
There you go.
and he's gonna see the same ugly face he sees every time. So.
Well, it looks
I'm
like they're
happy to
elected.
go with Scott and Steve
Good.
and follow the same rules every single time, so that he's understands we're serious. And I've spoken to the town manager in Turner, and there's lots of games that get played, pieces of equipment get moved to different property, so that they're off this one, but then they're over here. If it's the same person, and I've got pictures, I know if it's equipment that's being moved around and.
Right, okay, so, I don't know if it's in order, but I'm gonna move that we allow the constable to also be an agent for this sort of inspection.
The constable and
Well, the code officer is already an agent of the.
no, not unless you tell appoint him.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I guess then, I'm gonna suggest that we allow the constable and or the CEO
CEO.
to attend with the select board member to make such inspections.
I second it. All in favor? Good. Sue? ATVs on town roads. We got ways to go on this yet. I talked with Town Sumner today on this.
Mhm.
And they're trying it out temporarily, they said. And so far, I didn't get how long they've been doing it. I think it's been a while because,
Well, they've tried out opening their roads to.
yes, the ATVs, yes.
Yes,
I think it's been a little bit, I was going to try to get hold of Kelly before the meeting, but you talked to Kelly?
Yes.
Did she say how long they've been doing this?
No, but she said they had problems with people not speeding.
Yeah, I talked with Sherry today about this. And she said the only complaint so far she had one come in last week. One I thought was going over 25 miles an hour. So that ain't too bad, just one complaint. I don't know how long they've been doing this. But go ahead, Al.
Some of the complaints that people might have to go to the works.
You can go what? Right, to the wardens, right, right, right. It's up to them to take care of that.
It's a big deal to know what roads are affected, how many of those people are gonna have to travel.
Yes, we haven't worked on that yet. That's next, mine. Go ahead, Christine.
I just think that if you're gonna do this, you need to do it right. I think that's suggested last week, but I think you should have a committee, form committees to look at everything. My suggestion would be talk to the, town management of Greenville, because they do allow for you to be there. Rockford, who's been doing it for a while, because it's done this summer, has been doing it very long. But I imagine they'd have more than one complaint, honestly. I can touch base with Warren, New Hampshire, who, is a much bigger city than Hartford, but has weekends full of ATVs. What kind of problems do they encounter there? I think I would contact the state to find out what's it gonna be like here on Route 40, what's allowed by the state. I just don't think it's something that needs to be done willy-nilly. I think it has to be done with a group of people from both sides so that we can make it as safe as soon as possible.
I've mentioned it,
Well, we already talked to Oxford, we already talked to these other towns.
Camp Falls, Oxford.
So much literature on it, sit down with Stu, I mean.
I don't need one person, I don't need to be, I think it's a committee that needs to be there, and I think Sue has done a great job, don't get me wrong, Sue. But I think you're very much for this, I think is, you know, I live on 140. I have no problems, I have ATVs, I have no problems opening up roads to ATVs. But I want it to be done right, I don't want it to be done that Sue went to talk to people who are for it. I think we need to contact the players and find out what it's done right. Not just because Sue's done it, but a group of people have done it, including law enforcement.
Man,
I just wanted to make it clear that the request came from a citizen of town, David Terrio, like 3 months ago.
We've had requests on and off for years.
Okay. Well, it was assumed that it was one of the select board.
I just
Right.
wanted to say that I and 21 other people wrote a letter about this. Nobody was saying, we don't like ATVs. Nobody was saying, we don't even want to consider this. What everyone I talked to was saying is, there needs to be a process.
okay, so what's a time frame on this? Are you guys figuring on getting with a committee together and
Since the rule change would be an ordinance.
we don't want this to last years. We wouldn't want this to last years.
No,
Why not?
because the
Because
state
there's a law.
requires that it has to be the town, at least right now, the forms that we have to fill out. To open up the roads, we have to have a plan on which roads are gonna be opened. Even if we voted tonight to open the roads, they don't open, there's a whole permit process. The state still has to approve it. We have to go in with a plan to say, we don't want people coming here, they might have to go town farm road down on 140, or it's gonna be trailhead to trailhead, it's not. Every road is gonna be open for people to buzz around.
Where are the trips? Other than the railroad bed.
Get the railroad bed,
Church
then you
Street.
get another one going down before you get to Bob Russell's old place, going down over the hill, you gotta cross on there. Then it crosses,
How does somebody who lives over. in
Again, we need a plan, we haven't gone that far.
Get over there. So I would also want to know, what expense has it had to towns? We don't have any information on that. You can't have ATVs running the roads and not have any expense.
They're not running the roads, they're going to the closest trail.
Yeah, but they're essentially running the roads.
Moral,
We don't have that many trails.
moral, moral.
We know where all the trails are, have they been brought out on a map? That's the first thing I would. Seriously. There are no trails, there are no trails.
That's what I was.
The railroad bed and people probably going up, Beermont. Okay.
That's an efficient trail.
No, it
The
isn't.
people in this town are gonna wanna drive forward every town.
They-
They're gonna have.
That's what I. But we can be careful.
Daryl,
Just enforces the rules that would apply. Is it safe?
Well, nobody would enforce them.
Hold on, that's not true. Oh,
That's my question.
be the game wardens.
game warden, state police, sheriff's department, they're all able to enforce rules on people with ATVs. Helmet laws, safety laws, crossing.
I get it, but I can tell you, I haven't seen a policeman of any sort on Green Acres Road in probably 10 years.
Yeah,
So, is there going to be some enforcement that has to do? That is.
I had a fishing wildlife come down my.
Al,
One question, please. Thank you.
It's funny because they said that last time we were here. Before I got here, the sheriff came by, they had, police came by and talked about They're on the road, you just might not want to, and the game wardens, they're riding these roads all the time, and they're checking people with ATVs, they're all hiding ATVs.
They're all around.
People will be on every road, thank you. That's the truth.
Ken,
State law opposed to town ordinance. Town ordinance need to be enforced, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, by our constable or the select board. Under state law, approved ATV access would be controlled by the state police, game wardens,
I believe that's
sheriff
true.
departments.
right,
So it got better enforcement by going through state approved, sanctioned road trail to trail. So,
Trail to trail is a joke in this town. You can-
that is.
Well, I think, you know, isn't that one,
That is abused, then it can get controlled by law enforcement, or they'll deny the application.
so isn't it true that we had a hearing last week with 36 people attending? I believe that's what it said
Mhm.
in the minutes of this hearing. And Debbie Salisbury in the back said, I'll be the president of an ATV club, and folks were all excited to have an ATV club. Now, one of the reasons for an ATV club is to work with landowners and figure out where trails can actually be made and established. So it seems to me that a network of trails is, you know, may not be in the immediate offing, but at least could happen with a little bit of organization and a group of people who really care about this.
Al,
So like Sue said, you vote on this tonight and you approve it, then everything else is gonna fall in line with the state police, if you find out what roads you wanna use, it's not gonna be immediately, you're gonna run it.
And we have to get it approved by the state. We have to have a plan on what roads, where the beginning and the end is, because we gotta have them signed on any shared road.
So let me get this straight, so any people that you put on a board to try to figure all that out,
I'm not talking about a board, we're talking about an ad hoc committee.
the committee is kind of a waste of your breath, because you still have to go by the state.
The state will have to approve any.
Basic rec-
Christine,
I just think if you have a committee, you have that many more people who can do the research and also do the applications when it's been by hand. You approve it tonight, you've approved it, everybody's do willy-nilly because they think it's like board approved.
mhm,
I think having this committee to, you know, to do the work, make sure that everything gets done properly. You know, and really do the research on it. I'm not saying that you didn't, Sue, I think you're one person, but, you know, like I said, contact these other towns who've had this in place for a long time. And what issues that they deal with. I can tell you, I see 3 to 4 accidents a year right in front of my house, with just vehicles. I can tell you that I don't want to be hauling somebody's body off the road. Because they're going way too fast on a road that they're not supposed to be on, but they will be on it. Guaranteed.
So I'd like to share a piece of information that no one in this room is aware of. 2.5 years ago, my boyfriend died on ATV, right in his own driveway. Accidents happen everywhere. It's one of the reasons I did all the research. It took me ages to get back on a four-wheeler, and it was a freak accident. Four-wheelers are dangerous pieces of equipment. I wish there was a law that made everybody wear bubbles, but you can't. So, yes, I might be for this, but I'm also scared to death. People are going to get hurt. There's going to be a life flight and that stops in the middle of the road because he's already gone. It's not easy. Yes, I did a lot of work and research because I wanted to know what other towns were. I didn't want to just go in and say, let's just do this and I'm gonna make it happen by only calling the good towns, the towns that might agree with me. I didn't do that. I got good and bad feedback. I agree, let's get a committee together, but I'm not gonna wait a whole year. We need to either move forward or not do it.
Daryl,
We could be considering this, approving this for paved roads as well as gravel roads.
Absolutely, it would be for people to get from their home via roads to get to the trailhead.
Which Jeremy said doesn't exist.
There's a railroad there.
Mo,
I guess one of my concerns, having ridden ATVs a lot in various places, and usually in field research, I have one at home now. Driving on paved roads with ATVs is not easy. You don't steer them very well. Yeah, they go like that. As soon as you get speed up, it just goes
Worse.
like that. It's an accident waiting if you approve this for paved roads. Honestly.
Mo, you had your hand up earlier.
I just did it. The state allows. On our state roads, 500 feet, is that, I think that's correct, 500 feet, okay. I have people going by me with my house, Berry Road. UTVs, ATVs, I know where they're going, it's a mile and a half down Route 4. They're gonna get gas, so they come back up by another 10 to 15 minutes later. You know, I mean, that's a mile and a half. I mean, we don't have, there's no place that you're gonna go from the trailhead to 500 feet unless you're gonna have a parking area, and people don't want. They don't want to have a parking trail. They don't want to trail their UTV or ATV a mile and a half. They don't want to do it. They want to go. They want the convenience away from their home, and that may not be, reasonable. So I think a mile and a half is a little bit too long. You
Lenny.
have to put the back of your truck. Whatever.
Lenny,
Then you can have to argue.
I'm not a person in a position. Want to be clear about that. Cautious person about this kind of thing. And I don't think we should even think about voting on it until there's an ATV club in Hartford. Ready to go. Because they're the ones we're gonna have to rely on to make sure everything's marked and, how can you do this unless you have an ATV club? And we had that one woman, what's her name?
Debbie,
Debbie, who wanted to start it. And I agree with Christine about the committee. I'm happy to serve on the committee. I'd love to see this happen safely.
L.
I'm not opposed.
They're gonna be riding these roads, I mean, they use Tucker Road quite often. It doesn't-
Yeah, whether we do it or not.
Right, so if you don't do it, you're not controlling it. Just heard from people that have ATVs riding out against, you are controlling the topic. At least if you approve it, then maybe you might have a little truth into it, but really.
I mean, that's like what, Steve?
Yeah. Speed limit.
I was gonna say.
The speed limit on the road.
Yeah, and there's a speed limit out here too, and they drive a lot faster than 35.
Jill,
Just, in some ways, that would just enforce my notion that enforcement is not really gonna happen, because in fact, like you say, people are already doing it, and it's not legal to do it, and it's not being enforced, so I think there is potentially an enforcement issue that somehow you're gonna wanna have to deal with if you don't approve it, so.
Are there people here tonight who would like to serve on this committee? I see one, two, three. There you go. So we could have some adjunct committee members. I mean, I have an idea if we put it out there, we'd probably get, we might end up with a committee that's too big to work with. But,
It's a hand up,
but who is it?
Jessica.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Jessica Brooks.
Anybody on Zoom got a question? Guess not. Leslie?
Was that if you any access road, you have to sign it with it. Who pays for the signage? Who pays for the additional time that you want your constable? What authority are you giving your constable? What liability does the town have? Based on.
These are the kind of questions that a committee would have to answer.
Right.
And funding for all this credit, you're talking about especially several roads then that looks like it's a whole lot.
Well, we actually opened a section of Church Street and that was supposed to have signage, and as far as I know, it does not.
Mo,
I'm just gonna say, back in '93, I had an HPV, I love that thing. I used to have to walk all by myself, because I couldn't find anybody to walk with, so I'm not against them. Right. Truly, I mean, it's just, it took me places where I really didn't, I couldn't walk a high one. So, I like them, but you have to respect, quality rights. And, obey them.
So we
Okay.
had somebody here earlier, I know he left because it probably got too late for him and too boring in the early part of the meeting. But Jim Haviland lives on the Darrington Road and he wrote a letter to us. Did you get Jim Haviland's letter?
yes, you did.
Yeah, and he had two big concerns, and his first concern was about the roads, because he lives on a road that is, just about the end of Darrington Road, and it's minimally maintained. And he said that, these vehicles, he has two ATVs and a UTV, and he loves them. But he says that to open up the roads to them, he said we get roads that are already in fairly rough shape, and these vehicles have aggressive tires. And they're definitely going to, going to create some wear. The other point was that, opening up his road to ATVs would have a negative impact on his peace and quiet and tranquility.
Does he have a ATV trail on his road now?
No,
There's a discontinued.
there's a
road
discontinued
right after
section,
his driveway.
which people.
So he probably
would be
uses
able to
that.
use.
Everyone
Right,
does.
his driveway.
104, $1.
Right, so $1 a piece? Yeah, but the state gets $1 out of that.
No,
The
the
town
town.
gets $1.
Town.
So in terms of, of course, the registration of automobiles, helps to fund.
So like
Highway
snow machines,
maintenance.
ATV money can be available for clubs, for people working on the trails, you have to request it. They do that for snow machines, we get back the money, and then we give it out to the snow machines.
Is that how that works,
Grooming
Leanne?
trails.
It comes back from the state.
You can have
And so,
people from the other towns or whatever, yeah.
So I'm just wondering how this works. And so, just for curiosity's sake, once the roads are open to ATVs, are they also going to be open to snowmobiles? I mean,
No.
would it just make sense? I mean,
Yeah. You don't want to, it ruins your skin.
Leanne. Go ahead, Jessica.
Hi, sorry, I was having some technical difficulties, but I think that we could easily form a committee, I think, just out of respect, and waiting for you guys to make a decision that everything's just kind of on hold, but I think that there's quite a few people that are interested that really.
I'm
don't
having a hard
mind.
time understanding you, Jessica.
Can you say it for us?
Sorry, it's my connection.
He's like echoing.
I didn't understand the word.
Bad connection.
Maybe ask them to type their comments.
The select board said not to pay any attention to comments at a meeting, so I don't. Figure it out.
Would you like to be on this committee, Jessica?
Can,
Oh, that's better.
Better.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No.
What I was saying is I think that there is a lot of interest in this, and I think that we could easily form a committee, and just out of respect and waiting for you guys to decide, everything's on hold, but I think that we can pull something really great together.
Would you like to be on this committee?
Absolutely.
Great. Great, because I know you're a supporter.
Is someone tracking the names of people?
Yeah, so we can get this show on the road, like literally.
let's
I mean, if
see.
you get a lot of volunteers, you don't need to be on the committee, I'm just will, and I like to be.
Planning.
Al, did you say you did?
No, I have an ATV, but I don't even like driving down the road in the woods.
Back in
Uh,
the-
like,
back in
I
the-
believe that when you open it up to people, it might even help with the speeding, it might help make people aware.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a privilege.
Okay, and moral, you said you were interested.
It's a privilege to be able to buy the road to get to the place.
Right.
Who else was interested in this?
David Terry was the one who requested it.
Yeah, David.
Let's,
Right, exactly.
If I want to take mine down here, go on railroad bed, or across towns, visit somebody, that's what this is designed for. That's why other towns have opened this up. It's private property, shut down.
Daryl,
I was just thinking what, Jeremy just said, is if you know where trails are, then you pick roads that lead to those trails instead of opening it up broadly to all town roads.
Well, you actually have signs that you have to follow, you can't go anywhere. Somewhere has signs going up to Black Mountain, and shows you which way to go. You just don't drive down 219 and go to Black Mountain. Then you walk.
Mhm.
So there's several signs that are gonna tell you which ones you can be on.
Jeremy, did you want to be on that committee?
No,
I didn't think so, but I just wanted to make sure.
no, but I want to watch my TV tomorrow.
I hear you.
Tucker Road is somewhat
And of course,
unfortunate. The guy that
if you want
owns
to.
the land,
Exactly.
the old,
He said he wants to
very
write his
historic,
tomorrow. Oh, yeah. He said he will if he wants to do this.
Nothing in any TV show, unless it's marketed TV.
Right, and that's sold, the guy that.
The next, if you don't have permission from every landowner, it's not a market, you can't be on it.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things,
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons why an ATV club, if they're willing to work with landowners, could actually open up quite a trail system.
Yes. This town.
You know, I mean, honestly, you know, if they are responsible and polite and so forth, they ought to be able to get permission from a lot of landowners. I would think. It actually isn't that simple.
Okay, so we have 5 or 6 names here down.
I've got 6 names down, and I suspect there are other people who would be interested who just don't happen to be here tonight. Well, after Dave Terrio isn't here tonight. But that gives us a start of a committee anyway, unless we want more people than that. 6, usually a committee has 5.
You put Debbie on that list?
Oh, no, did you?
I don't know, do you think she wants to be on it?
She wanted to be the president of the ATV.
Yeah,
Right.
and as she walked out, she says, I'm not gonna stay president, but.
Right, put her name down.
Well, it's key.
Hope so, just as long as it don't drag on for,
When I try to put a date on it, like 3 months or something.
so it don't drag on like year down the road,
I think 6 months would be a good time.
6 months, then it'd be winter, yeah.
Depends on how often this committee meets.
What,
If-
Christine?
Yeah.
Right, right. Right,
Give everybody a
All right. So that's August, September, that's 3 months.
Oh, I don't know. But you put a full timeline, right?
6 weeks.
Yeah, I was thinking 3 months, but you know.
2 months,
Pardon me?
2 months.
Well, either way, it's not gonna happen till next year, they just have to apply to the state and form it.
Right. So that's.
Yeah, no, I know, I was saying, I was saying, say 3 months, she said 6 months, he says.
6 months is too long, I think.
6 months is a, yeah.
Today?
But see,
How often do you suppose this committee's gonna meet?
Yeah,
So all we have to do is assign jobs go do them and come back together and come up with this nonsense. We have to form, norm, storm, and reform.
No, that's not. We need to approve it.
That's how we're
Get them all in one meeting.
I agree. Because it, you have to get it approved, and then you start to pick your roads, you have to mark the roads, what is it, fair, one of them.
Have the committee working in conjunction with the approval with the state.
Right. That sounds great, do it now. All in favor?
We don't need to vote.
All in favor?
Tell me that's
Uh,
Not on the warrant.
If I may address, too, approximately how, is the process, once you get it started, go
State.
for the state to approve it, you have a good estimate?
Well, pre-COVID, the state would get back to you in about 4 weeks. But I don't even know if the state is back to work yet. There are several people still working from home, and every time they don't get back to us when we file for permits for C and Brown stuff, they go, well, it's COVID.
I have
People are
a good
working
luck
from home.
with IFNW.
Well, that's not where we apply to.
Oh,
It's DOT.
Roads.
And then returning phone calls, because I've been asking about them coming to talk to us about spring.
You need people to make phone calls, like, give us a list. of phone calls.
Oh, no, I'm not involved. I've done the research. You guys, the committee can take over, and I'll give them everything I did. I get calls every single day from these townsfolk, and I have done my legwork, so you guys can go from there.
So you think it's about
2 months,
weeks.
2 months. What?
6 weeks.
This is an auction.
In 3 months. Halfway through, make the committee to come back to the select board to get them an update. It should be done, they're gonna stop. The only reason I say that is it is summer. So. You have to get these members to all come together.
Yeah, but
July,
as
September.
as Lenny said, once people are assigned a task, they can do their research.
Ken,
But I think really you can vote on it tonight, because you're not gonna implement. You're just saying that you will open roads that you have undetermined at this point. You're willing to open roads. You're not saying which roads, you haven't filled out an application. While the committee is working, that permit process can take place. 2 months for the committee to come back with their report, by then the state would probably come back with some information, and then decisions should be made on what roads to take.
Lenny,
Who's gonna do the permit process?
It has to be done through the town.
So
From the town to the state.
So like everyone in and then.
Leslie,
It's not under. To apply for the thing, there. So essentially, you have to do the way for the person to find out where you can find the permit.
Yep.
So
Just
if we
nice.
to say yes to it right now, doesn't really do anything.
There's nothing.
They're not, they're not gonna give you the permit.
No, they're not, it's pointless in action when it's gonna lead to nothing. It's, the select board's vote is the easiest part of the process.
So I move that we form a committee to study this. I have some appointees ready to rock.
Is that part of your motion?
Yep, I'm just,
Yeah.
I move we form a committee to study the idea of opening up town roads to ATVs.
meanwhile, we apply for the state.
Was there a second to these motion?
Can I get a second?
I second it. All in favor?
Okay, so,
Opposed?
Abstain.
okay, so, I'd like to suggest some people for this ad hoc committee.
What would the actual answer to this? Thing on the agenda, ATV?
Right. Very emotion, but it didn't.
We'll give the committee, what, 2 months? 2 months. To come up with everything. You get back to us. Meanwhile, we'll
I think we should appoint people to this committee tonight.
I just want to know the specific questions that they have that maybe you don't have the answers to. That they want to leave it.
Then Susan will undoubtedly help with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be. At least, well, I don't know about all of them, but she has some.
Ken,
Then the shop will
So
go.
the question was asked here tonight or answered in the hearing on June 8th. We've already reviewed a lot of this, so you think. Same questions, the answers have been answered.
So when you spoke with the police department, what did they say some of the issues were?
So I spoke with a gentleman at IFNW and the state police. Those are the two groups I talked to. Issues are that the same people that break the laws on the trails are the same people that are gonna break the laws on the roads. So if you have a young person under the age of 16 and they're riding an ATV without a helmet, which is a state law, they're picking them up for that. They're picking them up for some young adults that are on the trail that are too young to be by themselves and they're out there on the trails. So if you open the road, they're crossing the road, they're not supposed to do that.
Okay, so I guess I'm looking for more specific things, like in such and such town, this happened, or, I mean, I can give you specifics.
I'm not going to give those out.
Laws, not- sound-
So the town of Mechanic Falls and the town of Oxford, two of the towns that have their roads open. I also talked to the town of Rangeley, who shut down their roads because they were unhappy with the riders primarily from out of state. And a year and a half later, they opened them back up with some pretty stringent rules and more signage. So
And how are
Mechanic,
the stringent rules enforced?
they have their own police department. But they also have 1,000,001 businesses downtown that cater to four-wheelers, which we do not have.
Right.
So the town of Oxford, for example, their biggest deal was people were riding unregistered ATVs. And as soon as the Oxford PD started picking them up, they noticed, surprise, surprise, like when Steve goes out and puts markers on cars that says you don't have your swimming permit, they started seeing a huge uptick in people registering their ATVs. That was their biggest thing in the first year for Oxford, was people were not registered driving ATVs that they had on their property, and so, and then they got stopped. We don't have a police department. Mechanic Falls does. So, and they have a lot of businesses downtown, and they only blocked off one area that those ATVs are allowed to ride in, which basically is to the gas station, to the restaurant in town. And then, like a half of, I don't know, 2.5 blocks, more than 500 feet, up to the next trailhead. But they have many more trails than we have.
What is the specific question that this committee is going to research that we may already have the answers? What would we do about it? I mean, I put it on, we need to share answers.
That's the plan.
We need to not say local sheriff. We need to talk to state police.
I mean,
That's Al.
It's already done all the legwork. Keys, give her a break, you're a key, you're gonna figure this.
I'm not sure calling the police departments again are gonna give you any different answers.
Oh, yeah.
But
The answer they give you still doesn't matter that town people want this. Whatever the state police.
Right.
they're telling you, Town, the people in this town want it, there's 5 or 6 people who don't. There's hundreds that do.
Leanne,
If you form a committee to make plans to open roads to ATVs, should you have people who are against it on there?
yeah, no.
You don't have people against it. You have people who want.
We do. We have a gentleman here tonight who was opposed to it.
Is he on the committee?
No, but he left. He may want to be.
Well, you already made the committees.
Well, we have not appointed people yet.
Okay, what we say we wait 2 months, that'll give us time to put an application into the state. Meanwhile, they should have their info all
And the state
gathered
may
up.
tell us that that's putting the cart before the horse, but you know, they can tell us that.
Mhm. It'll give us time to make out what roads can be and what can't be. Yes,
So are we putting the application in, or are we waiting 2 months for the committee? Because we've gone back and forth on this for 4 months.
we can put it in, can't we, Sue? Ahead.
I'll print the application off and see what's involved. From my understanding, they want to know what roads we're gonna open and beginning and end and any bypasses.
See, that's what we don't know.
We don't know that part.
We
yet.
don't know that, but isn't that why we want it from the committee?
They're only open 49 miles of road.
Polly,
I think one of the biggest drawbacks is gonna be contacting all the landowners and getting permission to open a trail on their lands.
Well, you know, and that's why a club is so important.
Yeah,
But the job for the job for the committee would be to look into what roads, you know, what roads ought to be and had ought to be opened and so
It's
on.
pretty simple, right off the bat, you know that Jerry says the railroad bed is the trail. So you open Tucker Road, you open part of town line, you open kind of section road. You will follow down from there. You know, not bringing down. you know,
One
you
body.
have Some roads that you can use, there's not a lot of roads to use right now.
Margaret and Stetson. But kind of a lot.
Under the 500 foot wall, that's the whole reason for this.
Right, because Black Mountain, if you go through Sumner and you go up through Black Mountain Road, that whole road is going to take you all the way to. Dang, Pond.
True.
Tucker Pond.
Ponked Pond.
But Major, I didn't understand. Watching.
Right now, you only got 500 feet. A trail to a trail. When this opens up, which is going to, you're gonna be able to ride 10 miles to.
But how are you gonna be able to do that if the state law says 500 feet?
It changes.
That's the state.
This application,
We override the state.
that's.
That's why we need a permit.
That's not the point.
I knew the towns could have more rigid rules, but I didn't know they could have laxer.
Mo,
Does some have trailhead at the end of Stetson Road at the bridge? Is there a trailhead there that you can go to Shag Pond? Or you have to still use Southern Road and Southern Road's over
yes,
all the.
temporarily.
Temporarily.
Conditionally, right?
So basically,
Yes. It reminds me of when we were talking about recreational, retail marijuana in our. We're gonna be interfering with private business. It was just getting me to with it, but we can.
I just know my kids have been riding the road for years, right, Polly?
Well, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do
All around,
it.
never caused an accident that I know of, never got hurt.
Go ahead, Al.
sure, it's when I got busted going from Tucker Road to the railroad.
Yeah,
I mean, if Sue puts this on, then everything should be figured out. It's not gonna, I think it's no, it's one way or another.
Right.
You got people on the road all the time.
Ken.
I can speak from personal experience that people will end up going slower when it's legal to be on the road than when it's illegal to be on the road, because the goal is to get to the trail before.
a cop sees you.
You know, I've been there, done that, so.
And it can be 25 miles an hour, you can set it up to 15 miles an hour. We can set our own speed limit for the four wheelers.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, mileage.
Give him 2 months, Al.
So would you like to appoint people to this to a committee?
It's under the permit.
Yeah. But we're gonna have more information before we can do that.
I'm gonna print the permit and see all the requirements and what we have to submit for a plan.
And you still
Cindy.
have things.
Pardon me?
That can still have to be an ATV club to maintain it. No, no.
Maintain the road.
Cindy,
Some of it's open temporary. Now, is it the whole town of Silver?
as far as I know,
Okay, how, can we do the same thing? Can we open the whole town after temporarily while we get? And not to be.
I don't know about-
Me, but. Forming a club for this, and they're gonna do a bunch of research and stuff after we get our trails open, does the committee dissolve?
The
Or are they
committee is an
still-
ad hoc committee, which means it's a temporary committee in any case. And I believe, well, I don't know that it was part of the original motion, but I think I heard 60 days or 2 months for the duration of a committee. And then they would come back to us having figured it all out.
Leanne,
Hopefully.
Just my opinion, but. It's up to the selectmen to vote on this. It should be up to them to do the research. One already has. You are deciding. You should do the research.
There's been no specific questions that they have been unanswered. That's twice for questions that were unanswered.
If you read the letters that 22 of us signed, then,
That you sent out through the Hartford News to a select group of people.
which is okay.
I'm just stating a fact. Like,
News is not
the Hartford News is a town
the
publication.
Hartford News email
Right.
is paid for.
It doesn't
by
matter.
Laura and Arlene. I am editor, I can send an editorial.
The Hartford News is not the Sun Journal. The Hartford News is paid for through, most of it, through the town of Hartford.
The email is not.
The email is the Hartford News email.
It is not supported.
I don't
by
know
the
about
town.
this. Mo,
You cannot make that argument.
I wanna say,
Mo,
I have never used that, Hartford News email. There may be one, but I want to say something. And I don't think I'll leave paid for
Yes,
it.
you do.
I don't know who paid.
It's your right.
It's your internet.
No, I got to find by its own money. It's not anybody else.
But Arlene set up the email on your Wi-Fi.
Oh, well, okay, the three, and whatever, out of my, okay.
But again, when someone receives something from the Hartford News, they assume it's the town
And,
newsletter and the town
He
support
sent- he-
newsletter sending that out. And I
Very
feel,
well understood.
sent- absolutely, that's why we have separate people
All the time.
call me and call the town and complain. I have people forwarding me that email saying outraged that they got a email,
Ours.
right, horrors, saying, what's the scoop? Is this the Sun Journal or the Hartford News? Okay,
I had several people come up to me.
okay, you guys. No arguing, no fighting.
What's the letter? I missed it in the, I missed the letter we talked about.
I did too.
Cindy,
If the town of Hartford stopped supporting that newsletter, would it still function?
Well,
If the town of Hartford stopped supporting
the
the Hartford newsletter, would you still keep going?
would be no fun because the ads from the paper.
Well, that should say that that newsletter is part of the town.
You know what, people are outraged about the economy, but
It is not a town back.
They thought, what?
It shouldn't be used.
But the email is
but it shouldn't be used for a personal agenda.
Nothing to learn.
the email.
okay, you guys.
Do we get? I think you can't.
Okay, we're gonna finish. We're gonna finish. Okay, you guys. All right, you guys, we're going to give them 2 months to figure out any of this, what roads we should be, and we already know what roads, but anyways. Sue's gonna check with the state to see what else, what other information we need to get to go ahead with this. So 2 months from tonight,
So I've taken down the names of people who are willing to serve on the committee,
okay, read them.
and I'd like
I'm
to,
rescinding my name.
okay,
I seem to be a divisive uh,
okay.
entity.
Jessica Brooks, Christine Mumau, Becky Elsman, Maureen Nason, David Terrio, Debbie Salisbury, and Jim Haviland. I haven't heard back from Debbie Salisbury, so she may or may not be willing to sit on the committee. But Jim Haviland definitely is. So ATV owner and anyway,
Okay, let's finish.
so I would say 1, 2,
What's that, Christine?
3,
No, I'm too divisive.
4, 5. I would say that, okay, so that is how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I don't think there's anybody among them that doesn't own an ATV. So there you go. I don't know, Morrow may not. And he has said that he has used an ATV
Mhm.
in any case. So
Okay,
I don't think everybody's a naysayer. And there's no telling that Debbie will stay on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.
okay, open session. Anybody got anything for open session?
Richard's hands out.
Richard?
I have 2 questions. I thought in the past that the town meeting was on the Saturday following the day of the election. And this year it's a week later. I'm just wondering why. I'm just curious.
Call
Leanne?
Because we couldn't vote on the opening of Darrington Road until one full year from last year's vote.
Can you tell me what she said? I couldn't hear it too well.
She said it had to do with, I believe it is that Article 19 in the town warrant is to open the Darrington Road to winter maintenance.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
we
That's
can't
fine.
vote on that until 1 year had passed from the original vote.
That's fine. Okay. I just wondered what the reason was. And my other question is, I tried to get on and I missed the first part of the 6:30 part of this. Can you briefly explain to me what the public hearing fee schedule is all about?
Yeah, it was just to go over our fee schedule, which is basically how much do we charge for copies, how much is a permit, how much does it cost to dispose of cars, how much, all that stuff. And it's a long list.
How much?
I can read it to you.
I missed some of that, Lee. I'm sorry. You kind of zapped out. What did you say?
Okay, the fee schedule has to do with, it looks like this. So you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff on here. And it is
Yeah.
alcohol licensing, animal impound fee, I'm skipping, appeals application, beach guest pass, building permits, copies, fax, floodplain application, minor construction.
Okay, so it has to do with the fees that the town charges for all of these things.
Exactly, it's something we
Yeah.
had to vote on.
Richard, I'll bring
Oh,
you.
it was something you had to vote on. I see.
Are we
Yeah.
still on open session?
Here you go. Paula. Right,
yes.
so-
I
Thank you.
think that Hartford doesn't really have a Facebook page. In other words, you have to know about it and you have to ask your friend on it. And that's not how town Facebook pages work. Town Facebook pages are open to everybody. You
Well,
don't have to ask.
yeah, it's
to
an
be a
official
friend
thing.
of it.
And you can't just chat on them, it's,
Right. So why don't we have an official Hartford Facebook page?
I thought we did.
No,
We did at one time.
Until someone posted political views on there and had to shut that down.
well, I think we should have one. I think we should have an official Facebook page.
I agree.
So how would that?
people
I-
can behave.
I think that we do not have enough. Besides posting, like. Here's our office hours, here's events going on in town or whatever. I don't see a need for a social network Facebook page for the town of Hartford.
Well, so there's one, but it isn't. You have to ask to be a friend of, and that shouldn't be. It's either have one or don't.
Well, there's the people of Hartford, as well. That's a whole different story.
We don't have a page in Hartford Facebook page, it's the Anne's page, and you have to ask to be a friend of.
And I don't deny a soul.
No, but there aren't very many people on there.
Yes,
And it
there are.
should be a page
There's
that
like 700.
most events that happen in town get posted on the community page.
Right, Polly's page, I.
Why do we put 3,000 people on there?
Has to be like-
Leanne,
Ours is for town meeting information.
mm-hmm.
Whatever. It should be a town page, not a person.
Okay, so.
Check out some other towns too.
Yep, never have, but. Okay, new business.
Okay, so a session.
What's that? Yeah,
What you guys, the select board, copies of the junkyard, what the. Supposed to be and not supposed to be.
yeah,
I cannot find anything saying Lee is not a junkyard. Authority, I have to come to my house and comply and take your permit, but. As you guys read these things, you have to figure out what you're gonna do, because you can't get. a Person in the select board to get on board with having a junkyard permit. Then I don't see how you're gonna get anybody else in the town to follow suit. So I hope you don't drag this on forever. And then we can move on to help clean up some of these messes that we're in over the last 20 years. When everybody started dropping their junkyard permits. So. Thank you.
This is helpful, thank you.
You're welcome. And I can help you on other projects. We have to get people to start falling in line and decide the way.
anything else? No. New business, wages 2023, 2024. See you guys.
Thank you very much for listening to me.
We love to listen to you, Al.
I think it's awesome that Bonnie brings a big stick to keep them in line.
It hurts.
Oh, honey, yeah. Take care of it. Yeah, hey, at least you're out of the boot.
Leanne,
Freedom.
Be
So
careful.
you'll see at the top, this is pending the vote at town meeting.
yeah,
Which I don't know if you do vote to approve it tonight, so we'll be all set for July 1st. I don't know if you are comfortable doing an ACO or not, or if you want to reschedule with her, or.
yeah,
I'm not sure what we can do with that. You know, I mean, how many times do you reschedule?
just makes a second time.
Yeah,
So it's up to you what you want to do there.
And she confirmed that she was supposed to be here and
Exactly.
um,
When is she has a term limit, don't she, or is she
Her term is up June 30th.
yeah.
June
I mean,
30th? term?
But,
Yeah.
you know, we'd have to find somebody else who wanted to serve, and that's a whole nother ball of wax, because somebody, takes a reasonable amount of training to serve in that role.
You look like you do.
You need to stop hitting her.
Uh. Oh, well. Unless we can
I mean, if we,
try to find
well,
something.
so let's not, let's not worry about that particular uh, personnel sticky wicket at this time. Remember that what we're voting on is wages for the position
Right,
rather than for an
Right,
individual
That
person.
was a huge deal, with Christine and the budget committee, that we had to have the evaluations before this was approved. Remember?
mhm. One more chance or else?
We're not gonna meet again before town meeting.
Mm,
We can just hold off on paying, we can scratch her right now. Hold off for the first month, since you meet, or I don't know,
And that would leave us without animal control.
no,
In that time. Didn't I hear that she was in town?
So we thought she was, because people were coming in and permitting animals that
Right.
had not.
no, she must have left early.
Same. So what are you suggesting? You're suggesting that we sign this without signing wages for the animal control officer? And then approve wages for an animal control officer after July 1?
I'm just going by what Christine made sure that you guys follow evaluations and then rate.
Wish she hadn't just left.
Did
I
I
heard
hear
so many times say that,
She might be still outside.
even at town meeting.
Mhm.
Let's see if Christine's still out there.
Still out there gabbing.
She might very well be. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
She's
out
still right
there.
out there. What makes you think you could just walk out on us like that? Yeah, no kidding. So Christine, we are at Town of Hartford wages now, and we are going to essentially pre-approve next year's wages as discussed in the budget meetings. And right, just pending town meeting approval and pending that we were going to do our evaluations of each individual employee before we made this approval. We have this here, as we have this here to approve, and we actually scheduled ahead of the 6:30 meeting, we scheduled her evaluation, and that was the second time we scheduled it, and she did not come. And she confirmed.
Did you guys do a written evaluation? Or you guys are gonna sit and talk?
We were gonna sit and talk with him.
You need to do something, right?
They were waiting to meet with her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I mean, you should do a written evaluation and then meet with us. She should be prepared, give it to her, and then she's prepared when she comes to me to answer the questions that you guys are going to address if you have issues with. But what's the question on wages though?
The question is, I mean, Leanne is saying, well, we had to, according to what we discussed at budget time, we had to do evaluations before approving
The budget.
wages for the employee
For the next-
budget wages.
You brought that up several times and demanded that be followed.
You should be doing evaluations. For one, and if you want your raises tied to that evaluation, then it should be done prior to getting the increase.
So, well, we basically decided on 3% across the board, and it didn't really matter whether you were with it or not.
And that's what you guys.
That was decided at budget time.
No, you can approve the money in the budget, but it's up to you to give it to the employee. based on their performance.
But you shouldn't just bring them to the table and say, you need to do a practical job. You know, we're not giving you anything, you have to have some documentation to show that you're doing something.
So I suggested waiting on hers until they finish the evaluation.
Yeah.
You can still reappoint her or whatever.
Yeah. Probably,
Unless you. Yeah.
now, I don't know if she's doing a practice job, I shouldn't say that, she might be doing fantastic. But I'm just saying, either way, I think that's not something to get discussed in town meeting, in this, meeting, yeah. But I'm just saying, but you should have documentation, you shouldn't just do an oral and then not want anything there that being mistake. Especially for a problem.
I hear you. I'm not sure that the system we've been working with is all that particularly effective or efficient or anything.
But
To be
doing the
honest with you.
same old isn't necessarily being there, and we have a fresh start.
So can we move forward and approve all of this but her and the wage for the ACO?
Why don't you amend it and say all COLAs will be given with a successful performance evaluation?
No, it's a list of each position and your wage.
You wanna see what we're you wanna see what we're looking at? No.
The whole town, the whole. It's not just her. Ooh.
So you're voting on each individually right now?
No.
They're all the amounts that were discussed in budget meetings, not a vote. Everyone knows that have been approved. Yes.
So that's the approval, that's what you budgeted, that's what you approved the budget for, but you don't necessarily have to give them unless they have. Pass.
Yeah, that was the point, at several meetings from Christine, you have to evaluate first.
Okay. But you can still approve the money, you just can't.
Oh, really?
You can approve the money's in budget.
Really?
The money's in budget.
No. It,
Like, you can't.
oh my God.
You don't have it down. I see.
You gave me such a hard time.
You can't approve it for town, you can't unless town meeting approves it.
It's up to the selectmen what they're gonna get paid per hour. They have to approve this list. It doesn't matter if the budget was passed.
Why can't they wait till after town meeting?
Because July 1st is coming up before. They.
You don't necessarily have to give the money in July 1st. That's when the money's been approved, that's your fiscal year, it doesn't mean you have to get it on.
The way our audit is done, the first payroll in July is the new year.
So you're gonna plan 25 evaluations in.
We've already done.
done.
Evaluations for last week. She didn't show, last week was it? She didn't show up and then we scheduled one for tonight and she was evidently not able to attend.
There's your answer, I make one more attempt and then documents everything and go.
How about I call her, tell my dogs to no.
She will not.
Next
Wait.
meeting.
That's like that.
It's not. We're not exactly, that's what I'm saying.
No, we're not. Nobody would be here for that. So, yeah, I don't want to, I don't want to get into performance one way or another, just.
It should be the no-show and document. Just make sure you have documentation.
No, it says twice.
Yeah, but in any case, I mean, I don't believe her file is still with us, but did mark that in.
It's
Mhm.
there.
Right here.
Yeah.
Underneath, oh, okay. Underneath, yeah, yeah.
Not in executive session.
Yeah.
Right.
Any
And we're not in
wrong?
executive session.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you for coming back.
is there a motion?
The motion, we accept these. And we what? Still didn't get really, if we withhold hers,
Yeah, it
We
doesn't have,
pass it.
I don't know if that has to be part of the motion. But I think we should know that, we do need to see her.
we're making a motion to accept the
So that was it.
town of Hartford wages for 2023-2024 pending June 24th town meeting approval.
I second that.
All in favor?
I want to remember this.
Mhm. Okay, fee schedule approval.
I move we approve the fee schedule as discussed,
I second it. All in favor?
in accordance with all the, in accordance with all of the comments.
Are you in favor, Sue?
Yes.
Yep.
So just give one more.
Town meeting preparations.
Make sure you study your budget.
Yes.
Answer questions.
Has the moderator received the warrant?
Yeah. Oh. Alan Ray is doing something for Lorraine and it should be ready. Barbara and Sue are working on a little statement for her, because she's the winner of the.
Oh,
She
good.
doesn't know it yet though, does she?
Oh,
You say she does come to town meetings. right?
No, she doesn't.
Uh-huh.
she's.
Lorraine come to town meeting? She is coming this time?
Ken's gonna drag her in.
Okay,
Thanks,
great.
Ben.
I tell you what. Be like trying to drag a wildcat somewhere, wouldn't it?
So
A little
are we,
bit. Oh, man.
Is that what she was doing out in the rain?
Chasing one of her cows. Oh,
Really?
Lord,
that's,
oh,
I see her walking down the road and it was pouring out and I go, what the heck is she doing? Wow.
so is that the only presentation we have from Lorraine? I know the town reports dedicated to the newsletter. Are we doing anything there? No.
Do we have to tell you if we're doing something?
Well, gotta plan it out a little, moderate.
No, I think that we've got a plan.
You better not.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we have one. What you talking about?
she's got.
You better not. I have to know everything.
You know everything. You are the keeper of all knowledge.
Okay. Town meeting preparations, town office damage claim.
I contacted our insurance company. She was gonna contact the estimator. I haven't heard a word back. So. But be thinking how you want to handle this. Who's gonna do the work? Are we gonna use the estimate that was submitted, which I haven't shown to anyone besides the insurance company? But be thinking about it, because when she comes back with the money or information, we need to act fast.
You get more than one?
I asked for 3, I got 1.
Hmm. Okay, mowing contract.
I have
Is this
the-
for the future one or which one?
This is.
Future.
Yep, because you guys are meeting late in July, so we want everything in place. So payments were always split equally between August, October, and then June. But there's something else written in here.
So. My concern, I mean, I can find it. You have to go a month and a half, almost 3 months of mowing without any money. Why can't that be changed? I mean, insurances and, just me,
Right.
wear and tear, everything. I think that's kind of. Minecraft.
Oh, especially where we're changing contracts with people,
Right, and just-
because normally
Yeah,
if you'd be getting paid in June,
right.
and then you wouldn't be waiting, but now you have to start July 1, and you don't get any money till August, is that when the first date is?
It's
August,
August, October, and June. End of August. End of each month. We don't give any money up before any work is done.
Right. Good job. First order, maybe.
Could we-
Change about it, maybe, a couple weeks in winter, something, then. have
Could we not, because of the transition to a new contract? Could we not pay, end of July? And then end of September? And make it so that you're not going out, you're putting all that money outlay for 2 months and not getting any way to pay for the lawn care you're providing. What do you guys think? You see what I mean? If he had the contract all along, he'd be getting paid right now. And then he would have that
But
money to
you'd be
keep going.
getting paid right now for work that you've already done.
Right, correct.
yeah, I can see what you mean. Jeez.
Split into 3, it's like, I don't have a calculator, 4,660 something, right?
Can it go July, August, September? How much does the grass grow in October?
You still got fall cleanup though.
No,
Rusty mowed
Been
in
known
October
to
last
happen.
year.
Been known to happen. So basically, this is a request to change the contract so we would get paid at the end of July? Or paid first thing before he started mowing?
At the
or-
end. First payment be at the end of July instead of August.
Right now it's August,
October,
October,
June.
so 3 payments, right? Yeah.
So what the request is that it would be July, October, and June. But then next year he'd be paid in June and then paid again in July.
Yeah,
Well, on his
Yeah.
contract, he wrote 5,000.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wrong.
There.
5,000 in August, 4,000 in October, and 4,000 in June, which isn't much different than 1/3.
what's that?
We had a typo.
My biggest thing is this, if I go with this, I wanna go with it, I wanna look at every Sunday and have this input. Like lines are, get them back to where they were, and they do a lot of work. I don't want to do it, not want to do it, you do it. But you'll have a lot of expenses and.
Right.
Long period where you get money. I mean, I can do it financially, it's not a problem, I don't want to.
I hear you.
When do you think you start your first month? That's in July. You're probably needed when it's.
We've got to work together, you know.
I'll work with that.
What if, for this year only, this contract first year, what if, I don't know if you're even gonna like this idea, if we did July 30th, September 30th, and then June, and then starting next July, it goes to back
This is
to
a 3-year contract.
August, yes, I know.
Don't make it, because I'm not gonna read them.
You know what I was getting at. This would be a transitional year, and then next year, it would stay right on the old schedule.
Just be the start of it.
Yeah, I can remember that when I first looked at this, like $500, that's so cheap. Yeah.
Or we could just divide out the August payment to pay half in July and the other half in August.
But this would be a one-time consideration, not an actual change to the contract. Is that what I'm understanding?
Right, no, just, I mean.
A one-time consideration so that
3
it,
years now, you know, it's better than. It doesn't, but,
These 3 years.
yeah, I'm saying.
or they might not need to ask for it and they might not know anything about it.
They make the changes and then have everybody sign it, so I gotta go. Tree.
Okay,
So instead of getting the 5,000 in August, right? That's what he originally put. Yes. Have him get 25 in end of July and 2,500 at the end of July and 2,500 at the end of August. So you divide up that August payment and pay half of it after your the month of July, which will give you some liquidity. Would that be?
So that would be 7/31, 23, and 2,500 on the end of August, is that correct?
Then it just follows the
Eight.
regular schedule.
31, 23. LCH. Put your initials in.
this is the
So
one.
this is what I just, okay, well, that was practice.
Yeah,
That was
right.
practice.
One question I have about the ball field.
Okay,
it says every
so
5 days.
2,500
Balls start.
7/31, 23,
Start date.
and
Usually starts in May.
All 8/31.
Who the Keep all these phones that are
Twenty-five
coordinated.
hundred on 7/31/23 and 2,500 on 8/31/23, which is as in the contract.
I've got it, so.
It seems so, initials would do the job.
Is there a way to get it lower down there, so it's close to the end of the thing?
No, it was coming
No.
Down beach, gotta go through Pine Shores probably. Key to the gate to go through Pine Shores.
That, without.
Hey, if they can run the TVs up and down on the beach, why can't we run them over there? Beach, right? And they have been too.
Oh, he knows. They've been running ATVs on the beach. From Pine Shores. But we.
ATVs, never a problem.
If you do the coach ball.
I do not.
What we can find out.
So every 5 days for an all season.
I would suggest you contact Bridget. I was gonna say McMorrow, no, Bridget, how could I just drop her last name? Give me a second here. I can think of her, doesn't it just kill me? I can think of her maiden name, but I can't think of her. Culleton, Bridget Culleton. And hang on, I bet I've got a telephone number for her. Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Soon as a bunch of people talking, it's no use. He's going.
What's your name?
Bridget and Chad Culleton.
Bridget?
Yeah, what is it now? I probably don't have it in my phone. I can send you their whole.
Okay, yeah.
I can send you all the answers.
I'll tell you what, Tammy's planning on being at town meeting, right? There's all. Right?
Okay, so,
Do we know where she's gonna fall on the agenda?
I don't know if I'm really able to focus on this.
Well, I think that's not what I wanted to.
Yeah.
He said she don't know nothing about it.
No, and we don't want to see it. But she was suspicious. I was, I didn't know, so I didn't know.
Yeah,
No, there isn't.
Then going down Friday night before and take it. Take off her wall.
Yeah.
Tammy.
Yep. Perfect.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. Look at her, she needs to be on her. And isn't that great about Lorraine Parsons?
About rain what? You can share the record. Yeah, that's right. But as long as she keeps the house on.
Poor woman. Ah.
Send you guys pictures.
You just go to Lean too. How's this hours?
Send you guys pictures and.
Got it.
You got it.
Well, I was sitting up there.
That's what that thing in. I thought it was rusty.
That was funny, because. Swan Pond, the way it's been done.
Here's a picture. One.
No picture.
I have a picture of Swan Pond. Ah. I have a picture of Swan Pond.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
In that side is one Swan Pond.
We just split the first
There are.
25 yards in here.
You like that occasionally?
Yeah, it's got a few. That'll work,
Okay,
whatever.
we did the mowing contract. Appointments and resignations. Appointments for 23, 24.
We got one from Ken.
Wait. Are you speaking?
Yeah, electronic communications policy,
Where's that?
number 6.
Only got a 6.
Oh, funny, I don't even succeed.
You didn't grab a new,
I put it in your cubbies.
I picked this up on Wednesday.
It's up here. Yep, and I sent it, I email out, it was amended agenda.
Oh, okay.
so I received several complaints, and I know that Leanne had a couple in the town office about an email being sent out from the Hartford News. Looking for people to sign their name to a letter that was going to be presented to the select board. And several people that got that message from Lenny saying, I'm the editor of the Hartford News, and this is what's happening, and we want you to sign this letter if you want to, and I'm gonna put it, give it to the select board.
I did receive a letter. I received a letter.
So I received the letter from the select board. There's one from Hartford News was not sent to us. I mean, it might have been sent to you, but it wasn't sent to me from Lenny.
I don't think I even looked at where it came from, to be honest with you.
And then we got one from the letter that she sent out from Hartford News and had other people read it. That guy sent us that letter directly for our email this week.
That guy.
Whoever the guy on Davenport.
Oh, Jim Hadley?
Yes, you got that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
He had actually contacted me and told me he was worried about it. I said, well, put your thoughts in think about what you need to say. That's what he was here to talk about. And he's been six on.
so I guess the whole issue was people complaining about getting something from.
Put his thoughts in order. He said, if you're going to speak up, they couldn't sit still that long. And said, put your thoughts in order.
Yeah.
And write them down. Partly so you remember your thoughts, and partly because then you tell us what you're thinking.
But this is about an email going out from the Hartford News, which is, people consider that being a town account and town newsletter. And so calls came into me, calls came into Leanne. I got the email forwarded to me and I go, when did this go out? Because I should have been on there. I'm get emails from Hartford. So I was very concerned, and our electronic policy states what do you call that policy? For electronic communications for social media, including on Gmail accounts, and that those emails, I can't just grab all the town emails and send out something from me under that email with my opinion. It's not appropriate, it's unethical. We have a policy that says I can't do that. And so my concern is, as the new editor, which I'm glad she wants to do it, whatever. I know she just said she resigned. I know she does that a lot when she's mad, but
I would accept it. Not that it's up to you.
but to send out an email to a bunch of people from the Hartford News, she should have sent it out from her email.
And
it's not
it's entirely possible that it's an oversight.
No, it was not an oversight because she selectively took people off the list.
Sure.
Letterhead, Hartford News.
It's like me. Yeah.
But there's no way that was a oversight. That was using her position new as the editor to push her opinion.
That's a political view.
And this is the electronic communication policy, which probably wasn't given to the Hartford newsletter,
But as Morrow said, we've never used that to express our views. That's what he said tonight. Morrow goes, yes, that email was set up for this, but we've never used it to send out an email to everyone with our views. That's exactly what she did.
Okay, and the select board letter itself, I read. Here you go, your phone, sir. Thanks.
Who would you think that came from?
It looks to me like it came from Lenny.
Well, Hartford News,
Yeah.
with the Hartford News banner across the top, which we fund. We have a rule at my work. If you're gonna send out an email to more than a group of 3, then it has to be approved by your supervisor. Because mass mailings out to all our stores or whatever, a second set of eyes needs to see it.
So,
Some of the people, pages, same as ours, they have to accept them in the front.
someone on Zoom has got a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Is the mailing list for the Hartford News public information?
Excuse me, would you repeat the question?
I asked if the mailing list used by the Hartford newsletter, is that public information? In other words, could I come down and get a list, a mailing list from the office of all the people that the newsletter is sent to?
Email.
doesn't come from the town office.
If you wanted that information, you would ask Arlene.
Okay. Which I probably could get. And in which case, I could do exactly the same thing if I had something I wanted to send to all of those people.
Email.
So I don't see why this is a problem.
I know when I first ran for select board, I.
Send it on Town of Hartford letterhead.
Oh, no, I wasn't, it was
Well,
on.
that's
It
what
was
she did. She sent it on
First class
letterhead
stamps,
from-
class stamps by US Postal Service.
Right, sure.
That was everybody.
That's perfectly fine. That was from you personally, not from.
And a few supporters. I didn't stuff every envelope by myself.
Sure, but this is very different. This is. It came out from the Hartford News. Now, I'll give you an example. Say the food bank. Wants to do things a certain way, and. Someone doesn't agree with it and they work for the Hartford, they are the editor of the Hartford News. And they send out a big massive email to everybody that. They have an email to. And says, I think the Hartford Food Pantry should do this, this, and this.
If you don't stop it now, she's gonna be sending out campaign messages for people and who knows what else.
I don't think is the Hartford News an editorial? Is it like the Sun Journal or is it just an informational newsletter?
If this is sponsored, Hartford News is sponsored with taxpayer money, then editorials, opinion pieces aren't worthy to be in it. Unless you have an editorial page and you can put in your editorial. But at this point, this is ad plus taxpayer sponsored newsletter. It's a great newsletter, but opinion pieces aren't solicited. So the editor of it giving an opinion piece in it, regardless of the opinion, whether you're for it or against it, is a conflict of interest. She says clearly states as the editor of the Hartford News.
Okay. Okay, so what's gonna happen?
I don't know how to.
I mean,
how to handle it.
well, she did just quit.
Right, so it might not be no more.
Well, there might be no more
I
Hartford
still
News.
think there
And
should
so,
be,
and that may be that, because the amount of time and effort that's put into the Hartford News is humongous.
It is, it's a great newsletter, nothing to get rid of. It's
Well-
something to make sure that.
Well, would you like to take it on?
What's that?
Would you like to take it on?
No, I don't want to take it.
I didn't imagine so, and
Just because
I'm
I-
willing to bet that it's gonna be very hard to find somebody else who'd be willing to take it on.
I think what needs to happen, to answer that question, is to make sure the policy is for any editor of the Hartford News, and marks that right here, it said nothing political should be in there. That they understand that the email is not to be used for political purposes or for opinion pieces,
Leanne,
or reviewed by the select board before it's sent out.
But the select board just voted to have it a social service, so they have no control.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have a social service.
That's too late now.
Well, no, you can always vote on it again. You know?
Well, could we not review the newsletter, and if they want to do a massive email, we should be able to see it before it goes out. People think it's us.
Not now, because.
No, we
it's
said
separate.
financially. That their
Doesn't
books
matter.
would not be there.
Doesn't matter. It's not under your control because you voted to keep it separate.
We voted to keep the financials, let them continue to manage their
Right?
financials.
Did you read the legal thing I gave you from MMA Legal?
Mhm.
It's like a social service. We give them the money, you can't control it.
So maybe we shouldn't give them the money if they're gonna have a meeting.
Well, that's up to the voters.
Yeah, town meeting. Town meeting, you know, I think that it would be very easy to effectively disband the Hartford News at town meeting by just don't give them the money and let it die.
And it's too
That's
bad
not
to
good.
do this because we dedicated the town report to them. But
Because it mattered a lot.
But Moral and Arlene did say recently, because they're done dealing with the post office. And I did scan the newsletter and got it to everyone I could electronically.
Yeah.
Maybe. Didn't forget about
You know,
stopping the mailing,
well,
which is a part of it.
what better year than to honor the people who've been volunteers of the Hartford News and to recognize Arlene for all of her gargantuan effort than the last possible opportunity, because if it's gonna die, it's gonna die.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to.
Well, you're not taking it on.
A huge part of it, why not? A huge part of it is the coalition printing, mailing.
Right,
We could put it together if it didn't include all of that,
Simply email it.
right?
Oh, like their funds newsletters, all email that. You don't want to.
Hold on. Excuse me, I just received a text that I am a topic of discussion in a public meeting that I'm not present at. You can stop talking about me because I am going to hand off the editorship of the Hartford News. You are being extremely inappropriate
we're just talking.
and
about-
liable. It is not the job of the select board to discuss and bash citizens. You can't fire me as the editor. I'm a volunteer. I am resigning. People do not appreciate what I do. I don't need it. So you can stop right now.
We was just deciding on what we was gonna do with it.
So the electronic communication. policy-
Deciding what? What are you gonna do with what?
If we was
Right
gonna
now, we
end
don't
it,
have People sign that.
In the Hartford News?
yeah,
You don't want to have the Hartford News anymore.
no, we don't know.
Why? It's a great service. It's been very unbiased.
We'll find an editor.
Well, that's up to the Hartford News Committee volunteers, isn't it? It's how it's always worked.
Well, we'll have to ask them, I guess, and go from there.
Well, wouldn't you want to wait for my resignation?
You already said it. You can't take it back now.
It's none of your business, Leanne. Your job is to take notes and provide information as requested. You have way too much to say.
Okay. We'll go from there, Lenny. We'll find out.
Well, I will submit a letter.
Okay,
And then you can go from there.
all right.
So the electronic communication policy, I think we need to start having people sign that.
Yes.
Everyone that's going to have access to
And
town
the
stuff
code of ethics, which I
and the code of ethics.
should be doing already. I know the Selectmen have, but everyone should be doing.
Cool with that.
And even volunteering to the town, all of the people that are providing services for the town, these assignments.
Taxpayers.
This is the same one that we've had for years. You're welcome to sign it right now. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Mhm.
I'll sign one too. Thank you.
Can't you just sign one?
Yeah.
Don't you be sharing information with all those dead people. I talk to everyone in the cemetery.
Thank you.
Can I I'll get a copy of that later. I'll put it in my book.
It should be already in your book. Pretty sure.
I meant the one I signed.
Oh,
Here you go.
thanks.
Okay. We appointments, resignations, appointments for 23-24.
So I move that we appoint Joel, is it Leclerc? To another 5-year term since his partial term has ended. That he's- okay.
I'm sorry. We go down on this. Because I didn't.
Oh, that
You
one.
have your list.
Oh,
So,
Sorry.
so. I just need Ken was sitting here and I knew he was waiting for that, so.
Pardon me.
The stuff fell
Buried it.
now I've got.
Don't do with it.
Here, can you have mine?
I got mine here somewhere.
Want to share?
It's in there somewhere, sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
Probably.
Here you go.
Right.
Everyone with a 23 expiration. Kathy has already taken her oath of office.
So, I move we appoint Leanne as, register our voters and, no, wait a minute, that one is expires in 25, so.
Yep.
So all of those ones, just registrars is every other year, but, E91 address and agent, registrar of voters and public access. Can I get a second?
I second it. All in favor?
I move we appoint Barbara Robinson as deputy clerk, no?
That would be my job.
That would be your job, okay, yeah. So, commissioner. I see, okay, those are elected offices, okay. I move we appoint Scott Mills as code officer and plumbing inspector.
I second it. All in favor?
And do we know that Dan LaRochelle wishes to continue as health officer?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a 2-year term anyway, right? Yeah, he's not going till 24. Okay, I move that we appoint the brothers Baxter and Tucker Tardif as fire warden and deputy fire warden. I don't know if we can do that together, but can I get a second?
Yep, I second it. All in
Trying to move
favor?
things along here. I move we skip animal control officer at this time. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I move that we appoint Steve Ellsman as constable.
I second it. All in favor?
And Mr. LaRochelle also wishes to continue as emergency management director for what it's worth.
I second it.
Second.
All in favor?
We can't do anything with budget committee.
No,
that's done at the,
that is
town meeting,
Appointed.
right?
Is appointed or elected at town meeting. Planning board, we have, I move we emphatically, appoint Margaret Matthews as, to the
Yeah.
planning board.
Second it.
And, okay, is it off? I move we appoint Christine Newmau to the appeals board.
I second it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
And also I move that we appoint Anthony Piercella, although I don't know, I've actually never met the guy.
Yeah.
But he's on the appeals board and he expires, so Anthony Piercella to the appeals board.
As. Oh, wait a minute. Appeals board?
Appeals board,
Yep.
5-year term, yeah. He was appointed in February of 23.
I missed them.
And expires in June of 2023. I think he was taking somebody's place.
A really short term.
Well, he was probably filling out somebody's term and had left.
All right, so you said a 5-year term.
You know, I mean, if he really doesn't want to do it, he'll let us know. I think that was, not sure if he resigned. It doesn't exactly say that somebody resigned in 23. He lived along to, we must have lived along to. Without.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
See you, Steve. That's just not a typo, is it?
What's it say?
What typo?
No, I just figured that shouldn't have just been
Piercello?
28 instead of 3.
I don't know.
Right. Did we
You know,
second
you know
him?
something, I wanna think more about the ordinance committee. I think somebody who's come
Was
up,
there
but-
somebody on the planning board? Did we skip something?
or just reappointed, Margaret.
Margaret,
So Larry had said he was only gonna serve 1 year, but he's not.
I
talked
think-
about it.
Yeah, I think he's gonna, he shows right up, I think he's gonna stick
I
with it.
know, I love that.
Was Anthony an alternate appeals board member or regular?
Frankly, I'm not sure.
Oh, you have alternate here on your.
Okay, so that's a 1-year term.
Anthony, this is for form, and she has alt.
oh,
Okay. Well, I still move we appoint him as, to continue as an alternate. And that means we're missing somebody on the planning board,
I second that.
on the appeals board. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Christine and Anthony's a alternate.
Okay, well, you know something? I guess. Okay, for now, I will talk to the members of the appeals board and see if, how Anthony's doing, because it might make sense to appoint him.
Training, you guys just.
Yeah,
approve training
it
forms.
might be appropriate to appoint him as a full member if he's been an alternate for a year.
Instead of Christine.
Well, Christine's not an alternate. Okay, so his term expires in 23 because he's an alternate.
Right.
Well, we're gonna have to appoint somebody else too, aren't we? Because I
Right,
only see
exactly.
4 people. I only see 4, well, no, wait a minute, like, oh, no, okay, sorry, I was missing Polly, Christine, Dorian, Leslie, and Marguerite. Okay, so Anthony is an alternate.
Mhm.
Alrighty then.
Did
Oh,
Kathy or Sue have an ordinance committee member? Or does everyone agree to move on?
What's that on?
I
Do you
think
have
I-
an ordinance committee member? Lisa, she's not ready.
Yeah, I'm not ready to reappoint our ordinance committee member at this time, who's
But
expired,
is Sue or Kathy ready?
Let me see.
maybe.
Sign resign.
Lou's out.
Oh, lose up, okay. And he doesn't wanna,
I don't
Yeah.
know.
he does wanna renew? Well, why can't we just renew him?
You can.
Yeah, he wants it. I'll make a motion that we appoint Lou Brand ordinance committee.
And so we're gonna completely skip the solid waste and recycling committee?
How's that?
Well, I don't know, I don't see it. Is it maybe on the last page?
All right, was there a second to Lou?
You second it?
Yep.
All in favor?
Abstained or opposed?
Yeah, abstain.
Road
It's not.
committee, cemetery committee, Hartford Food Bank.
And also, yeah, but Nancy's on.
The cemetery, I have next.
I don't think she's gonna be good.
Other waste, is there waste,
I'm sorry,
the waste committee?
I don't have my list, I can't,
Here. You want your list back?
no, I didn't make one out for the waste committee, I don't know why, unless.
Did we just
Uh,
skip over cemetery committee? Is somebody?
No, it's on the back page, I see it right here. The one up is Lou on the waste committee.
He's up on both.
Yep.
Oh, I see, because there's this page,
Yeah.
there's a page that had nothing on it. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, he's up on both.
Yes. Okay, and then, of course, you know, another thing to consider is, exactly how we're gonna do about the road committee.
They ain't been
No, the road committee is kind of a non.
Fallout.
Kind of non-functional at this point. Do we appoint Harley again to make him think he's a member of an?
They haven't
committee?
met in
Or shall we
over a
just,
year.
or shall we just not appoint and let it die now for that?
Yeah, ain't met for so long.
Okay,
I don't know.
moving right along, cemetery committee. The person we need to reappoint is Joel Leclerc. I move we appoint Joel Leclerc to the cemetery committee.
I second it. All in favor?
And is that a 5-year term? Was that a 3-year term?
Then we have
No,
these
five.
people, then we have a list of the food bank people, and there's no appointments because we do not appoint those people. And see, this is how I missed, because I came to this page and I didn't know to turn to the last page, which has. Based on the second. And the trustees, I move that we appoint the same slate of officers to the Lower Fog Irish Trust Fund for the next year.
Can you say the names?
They are Moral Nason, excuse me, sorry, David Bowen, Teresa Hinckley, Margot Dudley, Keith LaRochelle, and Mark Muma.
David Bowen,
Pardon?
David Bowen,
Yeah, Teresa Hinckley,
Margot Dudley,
recently.
Terry Hinckley,
Oh, yeah, sure.
Margot Dudley, Keith LaRochelle, and Mark Muma.
Mark never responded to any of the requests. I don't know if he's interested, but
Then again, how much Lower Fog Irish Trust work is there?
there'd be more. Yeah,
Mark has been not well.
No, this was a couple of years ago. He has never, and last year, he never.
Okay,
a donation.
well, you know, if we appoint him now, and it becomes an issue, we could always appoint somebody else, but I think, what can I say?
I second them. All in favor?
I move that we appoint Lorraine Parsons, Steve Fernald, and Arthur Harvey to the Evelyn Hutchinson Trust Fund for a 1-year term.
I second that.
All in favor?
And I move that we appoint Leanne Bedard, Conrad Ray, and Lee Fernald to the trustees of the Ministerial and School Fund for a term of 1 year.
Second it.
Who was the third one?
Lee,
Lee Fernald,
Sorry.
What is that? Trustees of the
Ministerial and
Ministerial
School
and
Fund.
School Fund.
Leanne has been a member since forever. Ask her all about it.
And that's another thing, basically, into the town accounts. So Beulah gave it to me as a separate account. It's not much money, but it needs to be in the books. I gotta look. In case I disappeared.
Any one of us could get hit by one of those log trucks coming through here,
Or those wild cats.
Oh, yeah.
most of them.
Right, I mean,
On top of that, she handles enormous horses. She could get killed in the day. Yeah, and Lou Brown is up on the solid waste committee, and you know if he still wants to
what is
serve
the
on
waste
it?
committee one?
What?
The waste committee was way at the end.
Yeah, way at the end. Yeah, and the thing of it is, there was this whole thing about the food bank, and then there was like 3 lines there and all blank, and I thought that was the last page, so I hadn't. I didn't find these ones, so. My bad.
So do we want to reappoint Lou Brand or someone want to ask him? Do we want to, what do you want to do? Or
He
solid
came
waste?
in the other day, ready to schedule a meeting for next week, but he never got back to me, so it sounded like he was still interested.
Great, I guess so.
I've been there.
yeah, I second it.
Wait,
Whoop.
who motioned?
I did.
All in favor?
I guess I'm not.
I don't know.
But, yeah. Yeah, my guess. Okay, so all of these election clerks don't expire until next February.
Yeah.
So we can skip right past them and take that up another time. Does this mean we can go home now?
So ACO, will be dealt with maybe at the next meeting. Oh, start signing?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
right, there's that part too.
Good night, ladies.
Carrie's here.
Right now,
We also, I don't think we made a motion to approve the warrant yet.
We have not, because we were waiting on the,
good thought.
Do we need a different pen for every signature? What with the horses? And
Not tonight.
the horses? No,
No.
I'm babysitting the horse too.
For who?
Patricia and Les.
Oh, for crying out loud, they still have one.
Yeah. Went to Georgia.
How old is that horse?
Don't ask me. I don't know how old, how they go by age. Huh?
Well, either that or you knew the horse all along.
I do know the
I don't look
horse.
into my horse's mouth very often, but I've got it.
I do know him.
Papers, so I know how old she is.
I don't know how old it is. I don't know if it's in its 30s or what.
No youngster in any case.
You did?
so that was your son today, that was picking up that. Your. Future ex-grandson, I don't.
Future ex-grandson, what?
Next.
Purposely did not sign this one late.
And also, I also understand.
Okay.
Going on is colleagues, I guess.
He's in charge of the solid waste committee.
Only until the next class.
Got any more fights?
July 8th.
Yeah, July 8th.
You may go. Watch it.
Huh?
Well, if I do or go, there's probably some really other thing.
Crap.
Sits down. Thank you. Somebody ate all these lollipops. They were awesome.
We're not quite done.
Oh,
The training,
But no one has shown any interest yet.
For appeals or,
Yeah. You want to table it until I
yeah,
see interest?
yeah, I guess so.
sure.
You have the correspondence, right?
Mhm, yep,
Thank
So
you so
just
much.
that warrant and make it clear what we're doing about the mowing.
So make a motion in such a way that payment would be withheld until after an inspection.
I second it.
I didn't make the motion.
Oh.
I said, so make a motion that,
Oh,
I make a motion that we hold on to that payment until cemetery inspections can be completed.
So
the main thing is, I make a motion that we approve the warrants and
Warrant 24.
So do I need to continue?
And hold mowing check until inspection.
I made,
did you second that?
yep, I seconded it. All in favor?
If I'm gonna avoid this check and just reissue it next meeting.
You know. That
I
could
can't-
work.
Well, next meeting,
can't-
it's
because
the wrong
she can't just
fiscal
hold
year,
it.
you'll need to write at the end of July, end of June, won't you?
I can do it.
If she asks you for a check, then you got to come get an eval first.
Ronnie,
Yeah,
so am I calling her? Or one of you?
Did we set?
I will call her.
Okay.
Set a reminder to call Ronnie.
When will it remind you? When you tell it, Lou?
Yeah, I didn't actually say when, so that was my mistake, but all I have to do, now all I have to say to sit today in the afternoon. But what I want to do is, I'll go over here and I'll go to information and then I'll say date. And I'll say date and then I'm gonna say tomorrow and time. 9 AM. I'll give it to you. So that's nothing on today, but tomorrow it will pop up from this thing. Sweet. Along with a couple of other things that I'm supposed to remember to do. Okay.